Kitsunes Power by TheBeardedOne. Tenten and Naruto, begin. Tenten flung her kunai at Naruto, then leapt sideways, unleashing more projectiles. Naruto responded by whipping his sword around in a complex spiraling movement that deflected every single one of the kunai, then he flung his dagger at Tenten's feet, embedding it in the floor as Tenten rolled out of the way, coming to her feet and unsheathing her katana in a single move. The two of them paused briefly, then they hurtled towards each other, swords ringing as their paths intersected and separated again. Damn. Tenten mused, looking at the tear in her trouser leg. Another inch and that would have hurt. Naruto looked at his arm. You managed to scratch me. Yeah, but your insane healing has probably sorted that already. Tenten replied, dropping into a fighting stance. Naruto grinned and spun his sword one-handed before taking a low guard stance. For several seconds, neither one moved, then as if they were two bodies controlled by a single mind, they spun into action, their swords moving so fast that to the observers, they seemed to be wielding metal fans that blurred and clashed in incredibly complex patterns before they leapt away from each other. Damn it. Tenten said, looking down at the rip in her top that was exposing her stomach and the slight scratch on it. You almost got me that time. You've been holding back in our spars. So have you. Naruto replied, glancing down at his left flank where Tenten had managed to slice straight through his reinforced tunic. Repairing this will cost me quite a bit. I'll ask Dad to give you a discount. Tenten grinned. But I think I'm going to win this time. Don't count on it. Naruto smirked, jamming his sword into the ground as he noted where she was standing. Demon technique, reverse dagger summoning. Tenten blinked as Naruto vanished in a flash of red chakra, then her eyes widened as his left arm locked around her neck, his other hand lightly gripping her right hand and the katana in it. For a moment, she remained motionless, then she slumped. That's a new trick. Meh, it's how I escaped from Orochimaru. Naruto admitted. So, you yield? Yeah. Tenten sighed. I yield. Damn it. Winner, Naruto. Hayate said as Naruto released Tenten. For what it's worth, you put up a damned good fight. He said, and Tenten smiled at him. You did too. You deserved this one. I should have called Cat instead. Maybe next time. Haruno Sakura and Inuzuka Kiba, fight. Sakura looked at her opponent and gulped. You wouldn't hit a girl, right? Kiba barked with laughter. You're kidding, right? I'm teamed up with the deadliest kunoichi in Konoha, one who still kicks my tail around the training fields. I have to go all out to make sure she doesn't knock out me. You really think that I wouldn't hit a girl given that I know how dangerous they can be? Get a clue. Hinata hid her blush in her hands as Naruto and Neji both smirked at her embarrassment. All force jutsu. Kiba shouted as he flung a soldier pill into Akamaru's mouth. Akamaru gulped the pill down and leapt onto Kiba's back, his fur turning red. Man-beast clone jutsu. Sakura took a step back as the cloud of smoke cleared to reveal two for-real-looking Kibas snarling at her, then they both charged. Sakura raised her arms in a useless gesture of protection as both Kibas slashed at her, sending a log flying into the wall. Substitution. Sasuke half-whispered. Very clever, Sakura. Both Kibas looked round, then they looked up to see Sakura stood on the ceiling of the hall, dropping some vials. The Kibas tried to dodge, but they got caught in the vapors and emerged, falling onto the floor, twitching slightly. Sakura dropped down, landing lightly on the floor. Gas pellets, paralysis gas payload. She explained, looking at the two Kibas. Pulling out a kunai, she walked over to one of them and placed her kunai against his neck. I guess that I wa. The downed Kiba grabbed her hand and rolled, pulling her off her feet and pulling her over in a throw that slammed her full length on the ground. Before she could recover, Kiba had pulled the kunai from her grip and placed it against her neck while the other Kiba had leapt over and grabbed her hands, pinning them above her head. Playing possum. Kiba growled. Guess I win. Sakura closed her eyes and nodded slightly. I yield. Winner, Kiba. Nara, Shikamaru and Sai, begin. Sai leapt back as Shikamaru's shadow extended towards him, then pulled out a scroll and a paintbrush, starting to draw on it. An instant later, the scroll was ripped out of his hands by a thrown kunai. I don't know what you can do with that scroll, but I don't think I want to find out. Shikamaru said, moving forwards. I forfeit. Shikamaru froze as if caught in his own shadow technique. You forfeit? Just like that? Sai nodded. My skills without my scroll do not allow me to proceed with any real hope of victory against your shadow skills, so forfeiting is the only logical choice. Shikamaru shrugged. Well, at least this fight wasn't as troublesome as it could have been. Winner, Shikamaru. Kankuro no Sabaku and Rock Lee, begin. Kankuro placed his wrapped bundle on the floor and looked up, only to be sent into the wall by a powerful spinning backhand punch. Lee didn't even hesitate, he grabbed the bundle and swung it up and over, slamming it into the ground, before pulling at the wrappings to reveal a knocked-out Kankuro. My Otudo told me you were a puppet user. Lee said to his unconscious enemy. Creating a strategy to defeat you was easy with that knowledge. Winner, Rock Lee. Hey-8 said as medics appeared to carry off the downed puppeteer. Could all the winners please come down? Naruto landed on the ground, then caught Hinata as she dropped down. Hand in hand, they joined the others as they lined up. You 10 have passed the second stage. The third stage takes place in a month's time. You can take that time to train and research your opponents. Now, please take one of the tokens from this box and read out your number. I am number 3. Lee exclaimed. 5. Sasuke said. Number 10. Temari announced. 6. Intoned Gaara. 4. Kiba said, and Akamaru barked from on top of his head. 7. Said Kin. 9. Hinata half-whispered. Number 1, as I always knew I was. Naruto laughed. 2. Said Neji. Don't say anything, Naruto. Naruto gave him his best me look, and several of the other genin chuckled. And I'm number 8. Shikamaru said. Hey-8 nodded and finished writing on the clipboard before turning it round so that they could see it. As you can see, Naruto, Neji, Lee and Kiba will face up to 4 fights, depending on how well they do, while everyone else has 3 at most. The first round will be Kagetora Naruto and Hyuga Neji, Rock Lee and Inuzuka Kiba, Uchiha Sasuke and Gaara no Sabaku, Tsuchi Kin and Nara Shikamaru, and finally Hyuga Hinata and Temari no Sabaku. The winners of battles 1 and 2 will fight each other, the victor to fight the winner of battle 3 for a place in the final match. The winners of battles 4 and 5 will fight each other, the winner from that reaching the final match. Any questions? Good. Report back to your Jonin sensei and be ready. Remember, you have 1 month to prepare. And 2 of my youthful genin got through, compared to only 1 of yours, my eternal rival. Guy gloated as he helped himself to another serving of food. I'm sorry, did you say something? Curse your hip and too cool attitude, Kakashi. Guy ranted as most of the people around the large table laughed. Naruto grinned as he reached out for the ladle, only for Hinata to slap his hand. You've already had 3 helpings of ramen. She said sternly. It's time for you to eat something more nutritious. Naruto looked at her and she smiled at him. Don't give me that look, we both know I'm better at doing it than you are. Now here, eat up. Wow, you are so whipped. Kiba smirked from across the table, then he paled as Hinata looked at him. Kiba, your tactical acumen seems to be as lacking as normal. Shino noted from beside him. Saying anything that could annoy Hinata is unwise. Ah, come on. Kiba whined. I won't meet her until the finals, give me a break here. Shino stared at him. You are up against the only genin who can hold his own against Naruto, going all out in your first match. If you manage to win that, you are up against either Naruto or Neji, most likely Naruto. I mean, no offense, Neji-sama. None taken. Neji shrugged. In the last 10 spars I've had with Naruto, I've only won 3 times. Please, continue. Thank you, Shino said. Even assuming you manage to beat Naruto or Neji, that places you up against Uchiha Sasuke with his Sharingan or Gaara the Jinchuriki of Suna. The chances of you succeeding against all of them with your current capabilities is low. Hey! Kiba protested. Stop ruining my dreams. That genjutsu was the worst thing I have ever encountered. Ino shivered. I tried to dispel it, but it just kept getting stronger. It was like the whole world was rippling around me. I couldn't stand, I couldn't attack, it still gives me the shivers as to how helpless I was. Sakura nodded. At least you didn't fall for one of the oldest tricks in the book. I thought I was intelligent. I can't believe that Kiba managed to outwit me. It was so embarrassing. From victory to defeat in half a second, and all because I let my arrogance take over. You were too clever, Kiba said. I was counting on you being clever enough to keep track of which one was me and which was Akamaru. If you'd gone for Akamaru, I'd have been in trouble. Tell me more about Kin's genjutsu, please, Shikamaru asked. It would be less troublesome if I knew in advance what to expect when I go up against her. Gakis are doing well, Anko said, looking down the table. They've really got the whole teamwork thing down now, and those who haven't won are inspired to do better next time. While only one of mine got through, Kakashi said, his matchup in the 3rd stage will be a problem. Emo's up against a Jinchuriki, Gaki told me. Anko said flatly. You'll need to give him some serious moves to last against the Ichibi container. Speed as well. Emo needs to go faster, lots faster. Kakashi nodded as Asuma winced. Shikamaru's already complaining about how he's fighting girls all the way through to the finals. He's also rather worried about Naruto's ability to turn into a giant cat. He claims he's having a hard time coming up with a counter to that. I need to get Kiba to train in more than just his clan techniques, Kurenai said, glancing over to where Kiba was arguing with Sasuke. Just facing off against Lee will not be a trivial challenge. Lee's speed is scary. And that's with him wearing weights, Kakashi noted, causing Kurenai to stare at him in shock. What? I helped him train a bit, teaching him some ninjutsu that he could integrate into his fighting style. I'd offer to help with Kiba, but I need to seriously up Sasuke's game if he is to make it through the finals intact. He'll be fighting 2 Jinchuriki, but the second one will hopefully cut him some slack. 2? Kurenai asked, and Kakashi slapped himself on his forehead. Oh, I forgot. Legally, since the Yondaime sealed the Kyuubi into his own son, Naruto is not a Jinchuriki as he's not the Yondaime's son. But, yeah. If Sasuke manages to take down Gaara, which he might since he lasted against Orochimaru, he's then got Naruto to face. And Naruto is just too good. The door to Naruto's room opened and a familiar figure slipped in. Needed your snuggly again? Naruto teased as Hinata slipped under the sheets and curled up against him, head pillowed on his shoulder. Hinata giggled and lightly slapped his chest. Stop that, she commanded. After a few moments, she twitched slightly, looking up at him despite the darkness. Are you all right? You're thinking about something. I need to take a trip to Wave, Naruto said. The elder of the great tigers told me about their history earlier. Apparently I'm not the first tiger bondmate. They were linked to a small clan that joined Uzushiogakure just before it got wiped out. The remaining tigers fled, reaching Konoha just before my birth, and Kushina snuck them into the Forest of Death, intending to place them somewhere else after I was born, using them as my bodyguards. Of course, the renegade Uchiha screwed things up and the tigers were stuck there until I discovered them. The thing is, they know where some of the treasures of Uzushiogakure are located and they want me to retrieve them. Scrolls, weapons, treasure that was hidden rather than smuggled out during the attack, even a summoning scroll or 2. But it'll take a couple of weeks to make the trip. I'll come with you, Hinata said, and Naruto shook his head. I'd love you to, but in a month, you're up against Temari, then probably Shikamaru. You need to train, Hinata. I'll be training like anything when I get back, but I can afford it since I can use Kage Bunshin to get more training time in, something you can't do. For a moment, Hinata struggled to find an argument, then she slumped in defeat. You're right, damn it, she muttered. But you take good care of yourself out there, I want you back unharmed. Naruto grinned as he stroked her hair reassuringly. Don't worry. Let me check something with my tenant, I may be able to come up with something. Chapter 23, Training and a Return to Wave. Yo, brat, Anko said with a grin as she appeared behind Hinata, who was looking down the road that Naruto and a dozen great tigers had vanished down. You look distracted, so I think it's time to get your mind off the gaki and get ready to do some serious. Is that the Kitsune's Fong? Hinata followed Anko's gaze to the dagger resting along her thigh. Not quite. Naruto-kun had it made, then he did something odd, infusing his chakra, the Kyuubi's chakra and my chakra into it. I don't know exactly how it works, but he is always aware of where it is, and thus where I am, and if I concentrate while holding it, it tells me where he is. It also does this, come. The dagger vanished and reappeared in her hand. I can't do the reverse summon thing Naruto-kun does with his, but this dagger lets him do it to reach me whenever he wants. Anko's eyebrows had raised as Hinata explained the properties of her new weapon. Damn, girl, he must have serious hots for you if he's willing to make something like that for you. I think he does. Hinata giggled. Even if my snuggly and I haven't started reading the orange books together yet. That'll happen soon enough, Anko said, turning Hinata round and pushing her towards the training grounds. Now come on, it's time to get you stronger. When you hit the finals, you're going to give Gaki a real fight. But you're his sensei. Hinata half protested as Anko towed her away from the gates. Shouldn't you be working on making him stronger, not me? Gaki ain't here, you are, Anko said. Besides, he learns best going up against superior opponents, so if I make you stronger, it makes him stronger too. See? Hinata frowned as she tried to follow the logic. I think so good, Anko exclaimed. Now come on, training time and dango time say wasting. Become a bandit, it's easy money, you said. The man groused. Merchants using the bridge are easy pickings, you said. We'll get lots of money and retire with willing, beautiful ladies, you said. Shut up. It's not my fault. Not your fault? The first man shouted. You got us into this mess, you led us into banditry, you never told us that we could expect having fucking giant tigers attack us. To be fair, Naruto said from where he was jogging beside the men who were tied up and slung over the backs of two of the greatly amused great tigers, it's not like he could have predicted me. I don't care. The first man sulked. It's still his fault. My fault? The second man asked, his voice filled with disbelief. You didn't have to join me, you knew the risks. They didn't include giant tigers as far as I knew. Came the riposte. Ninja, yes, giant tigers no. Shut up, the pair of you, said the third prisoner. I've had it with your complaining. Ninja-san, can you please slap them? Not without risking killing them, Naruto said, scooping up a rock and cushioning it in his left hand. The two bandits who hadn't seen him using his strength before gulped in fear. Still his fault, the first man muttered as the town came into view. Shut up. The townsfolk looked up and several of them started to cheer and call out greetings as they recognized the giant cats. Naruto waved back, then grinned as he saw the statues flanking the bridge. Life-size statues of the tigers sat protectively, looking outwards. A glint of metal caught his eye and he slowed down to read the plaque set onto the side of the bridge. The Great Tiger Bridge was built with the help of ninja from Konohagakure and their allies, the Great Tigers. This bridge is dedicated to their courage, bravery, and indomitable willpower. Haruno Sakura. Genin Hataki Kakashi. Jonin Kagetora Haku. Chunin Kagetora Naruto. Genin Midarashi Anko. Jonin Momochi Zabuza no Kagetora. Jonin Sai. Genin Uchiha Sasuke. Genin they brought the greatest gift of all to Wave. Hope. Naruto smiled at the inscription and looked up at the statues, recognizing them. Ha, Kaze, this one's you, and that one is the elder. Looking good. They know perfection when they see it. Kaze preened and Naruto laughed. I see they got the Haku and Zabuza's names right, they must have been keeping track of what's been happening. We were indeed. A voice said and Naruto spun round. Tazuna-san. Inari. We came as soon as we heard that someone was here with some great tigers and some prisoners. Tazuna said. I guess these are the bandits from between here and Konoha? I was about to ask Konoha for help in getting rid of them, but since you've already done it, I think we can spring for a B rank payment for you. They were C rank at best. Naruto grinned. And I'm not talking a guard the bridge builder C rank. Is Anko-san here? Inari asked, looking round and Naruto raised one eyebrow. Anko-sensei, no. She's back in Konoha. I'll be happy to take a message back for her once my mission is done. Thanks. Inari grinned. She's a really cool ninja, bit scary but really cool. So, Tazuna said as some villagers started to unload the bandits, what mission do you have, and do you want a place to stay? I'm trying to reach Uzushiogakure. Naruto said. I'll need a boat. Not a problem. Tazuna said with a wide smile. After your mission, we gained quite a few boats, and some sailors. Heck, we even put a dock at the other end of the bridge to help shift cargo. I'll put the word out and by tomorrow, you'll have your boat and a crew. I want to go too. Inari said, looking up from the tiger that he was stroking. Please? If Tazuna and Tsunami say it's all right, then yes. Naruto said after a moment's thought. However, you will do exactly what I say, and you will stay with at least one of the tigers at all times. Inari nodded as Tazuna laughed. Well, come on. I'm sure Tsunami will be happy to see you, and you can tell us all about how the rest of our heroes are. That was delicious. Thank you. Naruto said, leaning back and rubbing at his stomach. Tsunami smiled at him. So, I heard that Inari wants to go with you to Uzushiogakure. Tsunami said, giving her son a quelling look as he started to pipe up. You know that the island's deserted, has been since the last shinobi war. There are certain clan items hidden there that I have to find. Naruto said. As a descendant of one of Whirlpool's clans, I can get into the hidden vaults and claim them for the Kagetora and Konoha, with a cut for Wave for your help. Tazuna shook his head. Nah, keep it all for yourself, you've earned it with what you and your friends did against Gato. I'll pay the boat hire, at least. Naruto said and Tazuna shrugged. Sure thing. I don't see a problem with that. Hey, look! Inari shouted, pointing out the window. Naruto rose from the chair and joined the others. Okay. Tazuna snorted. I should have expected that. Naruto grinned at the sight of the village's youngsters crowding round the tigers, stroking them and climbing all over them. Kaze looked across, gave a long, slow wink, then turned back and nuzzled the girl who was trying to stroke his head. They love kids. Naruto explained. I think it's because they lost so many cubs during their time in the Forest of Death, they regard children as almost sacred. They'll do anything to protect them. All right, Inari. Tsunami said from behind them. You can go with Naruto tomorrow. Inari cheered and Naruto smiled down at him. Glad to have you aboard, kid. Yay! Inari shouted. I get to go on an adventure with Anko-sama's student. Naruto blinked as Tazuna and Tsunami laughed. Okay, kid, it's time to where'd you go? Anko frowned as she okayed at the empty, albeit rumpled, bed. Anko, what are you doing in my student's apartment? Oh, hi, Night-chan. Anko said, bending to look underneath the bed. I was going to give her some more training in snake-style taijutsu, but she isn't here. Did you know, you're here, so where is she? Kurenai frowned as Anko stepped into the bathroom, then emerged shaking her head. No sign of her. Oh hell, she didn't go after Naruto, did she? Anko sprinted out of the apartment and down the stairs, then she stopped and walked back up. False alarm, Kyuka's still here, so she must be here too. Where in Kami's name? She's here. Kurenai said quietly, her voice filled with amusement as she looked into Naruto's room. Anko peeped round the doorframe and smiled at the sight of Hinata curled up on Naruto's bed, snuggled against his pillow which she gripped tightly. Girl's got it bad for him, don't she? Anko smirked. Maybe we should just move his stuff into the apartment today and save her all these little journeys. Heck, you could move into here once we move the stuff to keep an eye on them. Kurenai glared at her and Anko grinned, ducking away as Kurenai lifted a threatening fist. So, how do you recommend waking her up? Kurenai said and Anko smirked. Cinnamon rolls. Hinata catapulted herself out of the bed, landing in a slight crouch and looking round. Cinnamon rolls? Where are they? Anko collapsed with laughter and Kurenai shook her head. Damn it, Anko. Stop teasing her like that. Bad enough that you encourage her to be a pervert only with Naruto-kun. Hinata protested, blushing when Kurenai gave her a blank look. It's not like I'm a real pervert, it's only Naruto-kun that I mean that Anko-sensei, help? Anko pulled herself upright. Girl's in love. Gaki loves her. Just accept it, Night-chan. So, should we move his stuff through now to save time? I thought they were waiting until after the exams. Kurenai protested, trying to ignore the eager look on her student's face. They're still kids. No, we're not. Hinata said, grabbing and holding up her hitayate. Once we received these, we became adults. As Anko told me, having these means that we're old enough to drink, old enough to smoke, old enough to fight, old enough to kill and old enough to foo. Okay, I got it. Kurenai interrupted quickly. Anko, what have you done to my little student? She helped me to find myself. Hinata said. I'm still me, just more so. And right now, I need to get washed and dressed. If you will excuse me. Kurenai watched Hinata walk across the hallway and into her own apartment, then she looked at Anko, who was pretending to cry. They grow up so fast, don't they, Night-chan? Oh, shut up. And you can shut up too. I didn't say anything. Zabuza protested from his doorway. Welcome aboard, Naruto-san. The captain of the fishing boat said as Naruto leapt aboard rather than using the gangplank which was being used by some of the tigers to board. Much to Naruto's amusement, over half the tigers had chosen to stay behind to be fussed over and petted by the villagers, meaning that Kaze, the elder and only 4 of the other tigers had chosen to accompany him, and the elder was the one carrying Inari. The young boy had been ecstatic when he found out what honor had been bestowed on him. Thank you for volunteering to give me transport. Naruto replied, bowing slightly as he did so. However, I wasn't told how much I owed you for this journey. I have money with me. There's no charge for one of the heroes of the bridge and the friend of the tigers. The captain grinned. Besides, the story of this mission will keep me in free sake for years. All right, cast off. Naruto looked round and grinned as he saw the elder sat in the bow of the ship like a living figurehead, Inari lying along his neck, chin resting between the elder's ears. Naruto walked over to them. Having fun, kid? It's amazing. Inari exulted. Naruto, what's the name of this tiger? It seems wrong to just call him you. His actual name is complicated, but you can call him Elder. Naruto said. He's kind of the leader of all the great tigers, sort of a furry four-legged Hokage. And don't panic, if he objected to you being on his back, you'd be on the floor by now. Inari stared at the elder, then leaned forwards and wrapped his arms as far round his neck as he could manage, giving him a hug. Thank you, elder. The elder started to emit a rumbling purr and Naruto grinned and headed back to where the captain was overseeing the crew as they set the sails. We'll be there within a day and a half. The captain said. Your cabins are prepared. Thank you. For you, not a problem. The captain smiled. Chapter 24, An Unexpected Result. How long do you think you'll need? The captain asked and Naruto shrugged. I have enough food and water sealed for a fortnight, even with Inari, so say about 5 days? We'll see you then, and if we can't make it, someone will. You have my guarantee. Naruto bowed, then leapt of the boat and landed on the pier. Scrambling onto Kaze's back, he winked at Inari. Hey, Inari, watch this. Combination Kagetora clan technique Great Tiger Henge no Jutsu. Inari's eyes widened as Naruto vanished into a cloud of smoke and re-emerged as a tiger. Wow. That is so cool. Naruto nodded as he stepped off Kaze's back, bowed to the elder who nodded back, then started to trot away from the boat. Inari waved at the wide-eyed crew and then leaned forwards, grabbing onto the strap around the elder's neck, the strap which the elder had insisted on for Inari's sake. This is amazing. This is Naruto reverted to his human form and nodded slowly as his gaze swept over the ruined village below them. The fallen walls and broken pillars flanked a river that flowed through what had once, before its fall, been one of the most famous hidden villages in the world. Inari, this is one of the prices of being a ninja. Naruto said slowly. The more famous you are, the better you are, the more people will come to envy and hate you. Uzushiogakure was renowned for its fuinjutsu, the arts of sealing, and that is why it was attacked and destroyed by an alliance of all those who feared its power, for only such an alliance could overcome those who lived here. My mother was from here and I have come to seek out her legacy and return to Konoha with it. In doing so, I ensured that the legacy of Uzushiogakure lives on, that its people didn't die in vain. The group remained silent, each contemplating the evidence of past violence before them, then Naruto strode forwards. Elder, can you show me where the main vault was? Inari gaped. A giant chunk of rock hurtled out of the hole Naruto had excavated. Waiting a moment to be certain that no more flying masonry was forthcoming, he edged forwards and cupped his hands to his mouth. You finished yet? I've found the vault door, just as the elder described. Naruto called back. There seems to be something whoa. Naruto. I'm okay. Naruto shouted back. I think the vault somehow recognized me, it opened up. Hang on. The squeal of stressed metal sounded, then Naruto's voice emerged. Okay, you can come down now. And bring the other lantern. Inari grabbed the second lantern and pausing only to light it, he made his way down the flight of steps that Naruto had cleared the fallen debris from. Reaching the older boy, he looked at the bent and twisted vault door barely hanging from its hinges. Why did you do that? To stop it closing again. Naruto said logically. I've sent in several Kage Bunshin to check it out, they haven't found any traps yet. You can talk to them with your thoughts? Inari asked, impressed. Naruto shook his head. Nope, they're under orders to dispel if they get caught in a trap, or trigger one that resets, thus giving me their memories in the process. Since they haven't dispelled, they haven't found any traps. Wow, that's almost as cool as Anko Obasan's snakes. Inari said, causing Naruto to give him an odd look. Obasan? He repeated. I wouldn't advise calling Anko-sensei that, she can be very touchy about her age. Okay, one of my clones just dispelled, no traps found. Given how big this building was, I'm not surprised, it must have been Uzushiogakures equivalent of the Hokage Tower. Follow me and stay close. Stepping through the doorway, Naruto held up his lantern so that the large room was illuminated. From the circular room, 5 other archways set at regular intervals led to long vaults while shelves between the archways held piles of scrolls. What do those signs above the arches mean? Inari asked and Naruto looked up. That one is the Uzumaki crest, that one I think is the Senju crest. I wonder what it's doing here. I thought the Senju were a Konoha clan. The leftmost is the crest of the previous clan who bonded to the great tigers. I don't recognize the other two, but I bet they were important. No, I take that back. The one in the middle is the crest for Uzushiogakure itself. Are you claiming all of it? Inari asked and Naruto shook his head as he made a familiar hand sign. No, even if I wanted to, I don't have the right. The Uzumaki and the great tiger things, yes. The Senju I'll take for Konoha. The Senju were one of the founding clans and there is at least one Senju still alive, Tsunade. The Uzushiogakure stuff, I'll take as it's my heritage as well, but the final archive? I'll pack it up and take it to Konoha, but it'll be stored in the vaults until we can figure out who, if anyone, should get it. Inari nodded as 50 Narutos appeared and the original opened the scroll he had brought with him and began unsealing smaller scrolls, passing them out. All right, you know what to do. 10 into each archive and start sealing everything important. Weapons, jutsu scrolls, that kind of thing. Go! With a cry of hi, the clones scattered to start their tasks and Inari whistled. Gramps said you helped loads with the bridge, is this how you did it? Yap. Naruto grinned. Kage Bunshin plus super strength equals easy ways to do physical tasks. And what the heck? What is it? Inari asked with a frown. Someone just dispelled one of my sentry clones using a glowing chain? Come on, and stay behind me. Guys, keep sealing stuff. I don't see anyone. Inari whispered as they looked round. The great tigers were also on guard, scenting the air and twitching their ears to catch any noise. Me neither. Naruto whispered back, closing his eyes and stretching his senses. Whoever dispelled my clone either retreated or watch out. Naruto grabbed Inari and leaped sideways as a glowing chain lashed out, curling around where Inari had just been. Dumping Inari on the elder's back, Naruto sprinted towards the source of the chain, flanked by Kaze and another tiger. As they approached the tree line, a person stepped out. My apologies for attacking you, she said. I believed you to be an intruder, not a returned member of the Gakutora clan. Naruto blinked at her. Gakutora? Yeah, my name's Naruto. Who are you? The red-haired girl bowed slightly. My name is Uzumaki Anoka, one of the last survivors of Uzushiogakure. Kagetora Naruto, born of Uzumaki Kushina. Naruto replied, causing Honka's eyes to widen. You're Kushina's son? Yes and no. Naruto shrugged. By blood and bone, I am her child. By law, I am no relation to her, hence my name. And your father? Anoka asked. Which of the Gakutora was he? He wasn't. Naruto said. Again, by blood and bone, I am the son of Namikaze Minato, the Yondaime Hokage of Konohagakure. By law, I am no relation to him. The Yellow Flash? Anoka asked, shocked. But why are you unrelated by law? That is a long story. Naruto shrugged. If you'll join us, I'll tell you, but it isn't a happy story. We stand in the ruins of one of the greatest villages in the world. Anoka sighed. I doubt any story told here will be happy. Anoka-san? Anoka looked up from the Fuinjutsu scroll she was studying. Yes, Inari-san? Are you going to take Naruto up on his offer? A proper place to live and a chance to rebuild the Uzumaki clan? Anoka asked. Yes indeed. Naruto's told me about his friends there, and about the few enemies who still remain in Konoha. I look forwards to seeing their faces when they meet a full-blood Uzumaki demanding the return of all the wealth they tried to steal from my cousin. Inari grinned almost as evilly as Anoka as they shared a brief daydream of the panic that Naruto's enemies would shortly feel. I was wondering, though, what can you tell me about a girl named Hinata? Inari shrugged. Not much, she's from the Hyuga clan, she loves Naruto-san and they're going to get married soon. Anoka nodded. That matches with what I've heard, and hey, guys. Naruto shouted, running over. Look what I found in the Gakutora vault, it's a summoning contract, and the elder says that I should sign it. Anoka tilted her head slightly. If I remember rightly, the Gakutora summoning contract is a high-level contract. High level? Inari asked and Anoka settled back. Yes. There are several tiers, or levels of contracts, based on the power of the summons. The highest level are the legendary contracts, the best known of which are the toads, snakes, slugs and salamanders. The bosses of those are said to be able to fight a Biju with a good chance of winning. Only one person, if that, can sign the contract per generation, they are very picky. Next are the high-level summons. Many of them are family-linked and they can fight along their summoners, often acting as weapons or partners. The great cats, monkeys, wolves, hawks and bears are all of this type. Below them are the medium-level summons. These ones have some combat potential, but are mainly used for other purposes. The foxes, chameleons, ravens, owls, rabbits and mantis are this level. Then the low-level summons. No real combat potential, but other uses are common. These include bees, butterflies, sparrows and mice. Then we have the unranked summons, which are subject to different rules. The only example I can think of offhand is the Shinigami. Users of unranked summons are very rare, as they tend not to survive. As for the hierarchy, you can have multiple summons, but each new summons must meet with the approval of the previous one, and they tend to give it only for certain summons of the same or higher levels. So a wolf summons might allow you to sign up for hawks or salamanders, but not sparrows or foxes, for instance. Should you sign for a lesser contract, your signature on the higher one will be voided. Wow! Inari gasped. You sure know loads. This one is I think it says Great Cat. Naruto said, peering at the writing. Anoka gulped. If I remember right, you need to prove yourself in combat to the one you summon. No problems. Naruto said. Now, how do I sign this thing? In blood? Thanks, Kaze. Naruto looked round, smiling at Inari and Anoka who were watching, along with most of the great tigers, from behind several large boulders that he had, at Anoka's insistence, moved to form an open bunker. Taking a deep breath, he went through the hand seals, channeling as much chakra as he could. Kuchios no Jutsu. A massive cloud of smoke billowed up in front of him and when it faded, Naruto had to fight to stop his jaw from dropping. In front of him was a 4-meter-tall bipedal cat with white fur, gold-embossed silver armor and a white mane that flowed down around his shoulders. On his back was a massive sword and his helmet was silver with a golden crown. What have you done? Kaze whimpered. That's the greatest of the great cats, Panthera krugeri rex. No one's ever summoned him before. The lion man's piercing blue eyes looked down at them. Who dares to summon me? And why? Naruto stepped forwards. My name is Kagetora Naruto, heir of the Gakutora tradition and blood-linked to the Uzumaki clan. I apologize for the unexpected summoning, Your Majesty. I was seeking to earn the right to summon one of the great cat clans and did not expect to summon one so mighty as yourself. So, you wish to be a summoner? Then I shall test you, but no one has ever passed my test before. He said as he shrank to half his height and unsheathed his sword. If you can survive against me in one-on-one combat until the sun goes down, I shall grant you the right to summon one of the clans of the great cats. And if I defeat you? Naruto asked, causing the lion man to roar with laughter. Then I shall grant you the right to summon all the clans, and myself as well, for you will have earned it. Now, defend yourself. Naruto summoned his sword into his hand just in time to block Krugeri's swing. Pushing it away, he countered the next few swings, then unleashed a combination attack that Zabuza had mercilessly drilled him in, one that usually ended with the victim's sword lying on the ground some distance away. Kriguri countered it flawlessly. Excellent, young one, truly excellent. He grinned as he pressed his counterattack. You have trained well in the ways of the blade. But is the blade all you can use? Naruto barely managed to dodge the line of rock spikes that leapt out of the ground when Kriguri stamped down. Kit, it's time. Remember how we discussed improving that use of the Fong? I do indeed. Naruto thought back, disengaging from Kriguri's attack and grabbing the Kitsune's Fong with his free hand. Kriguri raised one brow. I can sense that the dagger which you hold is stranger than the sword that you swing so well. I am curious as to its use. Fong, shatter. Naruto said, and the dagger glowed, reforming into a bundle of red senbon. Naruto threw them into the air and they spread out, falling down to cover most of the clearing. Kriguri absently blocked the only one headed for him, causing it to spin away. That was it? I'm disappointed in you. Naruto grinned and vanished in a red flash. Kriguri spun and barely managed to block the attack aimed at his side, but Naruto vanished again before he could strike back, reappearing to launch a slash from the other side, one which Kriguri once again barely managed to block. I see, Kriguri panted as he frantically blocked the incoming attacks. I admit I am impressed, kid. You've gained my respect. Kriguri spun and kicked, sending Naruto flying backwards and landing in a cloud of dust that briefly obscured him from view. Striding forwards, he placed his sword at Naruto's throat. Naruto just glared at him. You have my respect, kid, so I'll let you live, and I'll even grant you the right to summon one of the clans. I think the jaguars would do you well. Actually, Naruto said from behind him as he wrapped his left arm round Kriguri's forehead and placed the edge of his sword against his throat, I think that you mentioned something about all the clans? Kriguri froze as the Naruto on the floor vanished in a puff of smoke. Akage Bunshin. Kriguri snorted in amusement. You actually managed to outwit me, kid, and that is very hard to do. Never let it be said that I do not keep my word. The clans of the Great Cats are yours to summon at will, and you may call upon me to grant single clan scrolls should you know those who are worthy. Command us well, summoner, and may we battle together one day. Naruto dropped to the floor as Kriguri vanished in a cloud of smoke and slumped down, exhausted. As his vision faded, he saw Onoka, Inari and Kaze all running towards him. Chapter 25, A Clan Reborn. That is a big wall. Zabuza said the same thing when he first saw it. Naruto commented, glancing over to his cousin, who was riding on the back of one of the tigers. He was right. Onoka said. That is a really big wall. And quite a large pair of gates, too. Yap. Naruto said. Hey, Kotetsu, Izumo. Kagetora Naruto returning with new village member, Uzumaki Onoka. I'm taking her to see the old man now. Both Kotetsu and Izumo jolted out of their seats, staring at the barefoot girl perched atop the giant tiger. You Uzumaki? Kotetsu managed. You found another Uzumaki? Yap. Naruto smirked. And with most of the council bastards gone and replaced by ones who know not to meddle too badly, I see no problems in having the Uzumaki clan recognized again. Nice one. Izumo smirked. Kotetsu and I always thought that you shouldn't have had your heritage stolen like that. Now you can laugh at those who tried to destroy your clan. Not my clan anymore. Naruto corrected firmly. I'm building my clan. Onoka is going to resurrect her clan under the protection of the Kagetora. I'll be staying with Naruto. Onoka smiled. Then welcome to Konoha. Kotetsu said. We've been without a recognized Uzumaki for too long. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage, had seen many odd things in his life. He had fought against ninja with Kekkai Genkai that allowed them to reshape the battlefield, mow down hundreds of enemies in a single move or even predict the future. He had seen his pupils summon creatures larger than buildings and had witnessed the greatest jutsus of the age, the Rasengan and the Hiraishin. He had even seen his favorite orphan effortlessly knocking down a wall and looking embarrassed. None of that had prepared him for the sudden appearance of someone from a clan believed deceased. "So, Uzumaki Onoka," he said slowly, looking at the damaged scrolls that she had provided as proof of her identity, scrolls she had handed over using the chakra chain technique that he had previously only seen Uzumaki Kushina using. "Your presence is both a great boon to Konoha, and something of a minor problem given that your clan was declared dead after Naruto was disinherited by the now-fled council members." Onoka agreed. "The now-replaced council and my 3 senior advisors, whose powers I have since curtailed quite dramatically. Unfortunately, the daimyo still refuses to reverse his signing off on the decision, since it would imply that he made a mistake, and his pride won't let him admit that," Sarutobi gently corrected. "The clan heads will be happy to confirm your position in Konoha, but it will take a while to locate the Uzumaki funds and transfer them to your control. May I ask for your skill level?" Onoka tapped her chin thoughtfully. "I guess I'm at least Chunin. I specialize in Fuinjutsu, although since I'm an Uzumaki, that shouldn't be a surprise, and I'm a pretty decent at medical ninjutsu, although only for a few techniques." Sarutobi nodded. "If you agree, I shall have your skills tested by one I trust, Itaki Kakashi, and he shall determine the rank you are offered next time he comes in to pick up supplies." Onoka looked at Naruto, who nodded. "I know Kakashi, he was one of my teachers. He'll be fair. Then I accept, with gratitude," Onoka said with a smile. "Now, all I need is for somewhere to stay." "You can stay with me," Naruto said. "I know Hinata will be happy to meet you, and I think you'd get along with everyone else." "Then again, I accept with gratitude." Onoka smiled. "Excellent," Sarutobi said. "I'll get the paperwork started." "Naruto-kun." Onoka laughed as Hinata flew out of the door, catching Naruto in a flying glomp that sent him staggering back a few paces. As he recovered, she shifted her hands to his head and gave him a long, deep kiss before hugging him again. "I missed you, Naruto-kun," she said, and Naruto returned her hug. "I missed you too, Hinata-hime," he half-whispered before bending slightly and scooping her up bridal-style into his arms, giving her another kiss as he did so. Hinata leaned her head against his shoulder, then tensed as she saw Onoka. "Hinata-hime, this is Uzumaki Onoka, my cousin and soon-to-be head of the new Uzumaki clan. Onoka-chan, this is my fiancé Hyuga Hinata, formerly heir of the Hyuga clan." "Hinata, who else is in?" "Well," Hinata mused as Naruto carried her back inside, followed by a greatly amused Onoka. "Haku is working at the hospital, Zabuza's off somewhere with his sparring partners and drinking buddies Gekko Hayate and Izuki Yugao, Kakashi's still off training Sasuke, Enko's over at Irika's again and Guy is out helping Lee train. So it's just me, really?" "Okay," Naruto said, putting her down and giving her a quick kiss. "Onoka, I'll introduce you to Haku, Zabuza, Kakashi, Guy and Enko when I can. In the meantime, oh no. I forgot." "Forgot what?" Hinata asked as Naruto slapped himself on the forehead. "We don't have a spare bedroom. We've got the barracks, but if Onoka's staying with us we do have a spare bedroom." Hinata smirked, pulling Naruto up the stairs and motioning for Onoka to follow. "We do? How?" "Simple," Hinata said as they reached the top of the stairs. "Onoka can have this room." "But that's mine," Naruto half-protested and Hinata shook her head. "No it isn't. See, it's empty." Onoka managed not to giggle at Naruto's confused expression, then Hinata pulled him away from the vacated room. "Your things are in here. You remember the plan?" Naruto stared into the apartment, seeing the photo of him and Enko just beside Hinata's team photo on the sideboard, as well as his books on the bookshelves and other items arranged round the room. "I thought we were going to wait." Hinata silenced him with a kiss and winked at the giggling Onoka. Naruto, just this once, let me do the thinking and accept it. Your cousin needs a place to stay and now she has one, so stop complaining and say yes dear yes, Tenchiheim. Naruto said with a smile and Hinata hugged him again. So, once you've unpacked, let's go out. I'd quite like to get to know your newfound cousin. Tuchi. I am. One of everything and keep them coming. Naruto-kun. I am smiled. How did your trip go? I found new jutsu, some treasure and best of all, a cousin. Naruto smiled. I am Chan, this is Uzumaki Anoka. Anoka-chan, meet Ichiraku Ayam and her father, Tuchi. It's an honor to meet you. Anoka smiled and Ayam grinned. Well, since you're our favorite customer's cousin, your first bowl is on the house, for all three of you. Hinata, shrimp? Yes please. Hinata said and Ayam turned to Anoka, who was looking at the menu. One beef ramen please. Beef, shrimp and normal Naruto order, got it. Tuchi called from the kitchen and Hinata giggled. You come here often? Anoka asked and Naruto nodded. At least 3 times a week, Ichiraku's ramen is the best. Between Ichiraku's and Gai-sensei, I get to eat the best food in the whole world. Naruto broke off as Ayam slid a large metal bowl of steaming ramen in front of him, then slightly smaller bowls in front of Hinata and Anoka. Itadakimasu. Naruto said eagerly, scooping up the metal chopsticks. Hinata eagerly followed suit while Anoka inhaled the aroma before picking up her chopsticks and trying it. This is good, she said after taking a bite, then she gave a shocked glance as Naruto put aside the empty bowl and accepted a second one. That was fast. It's Ichiraku's ramen. Naruto stated as if it explained everything, then almost dived into the bowl while Hinata giggled. You get used to it, she explained. Naruto has quite an appetite. Eat up, it's best while still hot. Hey, Naruto, who's your friend? Naruto looked round and smiled. Hello Kiba, Shino. This is my cousin, Uzumaki Anoka. Anoka-chan, meet Hinata's teammates, Aburame Shino, Inazuka Kiba and his nin Ken, Akamaru. Wow, Naruto. Kiba said. Why didn't you tell me you had such a babe for a cousin? Ouch! Shino lowered the hand he had slapped Kiba's head with. Welcome to Konoha. I assumed that you were staying at Tiger Forest? I'm staying with my cousin. Anoka said and Shino nodded. That converted bunker and the surrounding area are known to all as Tiger Forest. He said. It is good that you have a secure place to stay at. Hinata-san, Kurenai-sensei asked me to inform you that we have group training tomorrow at 10. I hope to see you around, Anoka-san. Kiba, come. Anoka watched them depart, smiling slightly as Kiba's litany of complaints interspersed with praise for her looks drifted back. Hinata shook her head. Sorry, Kiba chases any female of approximately his age. She apologized. I think Shino's taken a liking to you, though. I've never seen him so open before. And so I accepted the offer and became a jonin. Zabuza said, waving his, fortunately empty, bowl of sake for emphasis. Naruto adopted Haku as his cousin, yours too, now I think about it, and I became his uncle and got a temporary seat on the ninja council. I'm holding it until Naruto comes of age and he takes over. And with all the tigers to wrestle whenever I get bored and Gaki to train, as well as Uchiha Sasuke and Higurashi Tenten, I can honestly say I've never been happier in my life. That's good to hear. Anoka said, taking a sip from her cup of fruit juice. I hope I come to like this place as much as you do. One warning, though. Zabuza said, leaning forwards. If you hear Guy and Lee shouting each other's names, look away before they hug. Same for Guy and Naruto, or Lee and Naruto. Trust me on this one. I didn't when I first arrived, and it took me most of the day to recover. Anoka's eyebrows rose. It was that bad? I've never seen anything like it before, and I never want to again. Zabuza shivered as he let Naruto refill his sake dish. Just take my word for it, don't be tempted to look for yourself. It's not that bad. Naruto protested and Zabuza snorted. You're immune, I still don't know how. He riposted, then he paused as Hinata walked by him. Gomen, I didn't want to interrupt, but it's getting late and I need my snuggly. Zabuza's snort of laughter caused him to cover himself in sake as Hinata pulled Naruto towards the staircase. Snuggly? Anoka asked, watching the vanishing couple. Snuggly. Zabuza confirmed, wiping his face. She started calling him that during the second stage of the Chunin exam. It's because she likes to snuggle up to him in bed. Anoka stared at him and he shook his head. No, don't get any bad thoughts about it. I know they're engaged and all, but as far as I can tell, they're both still virgins. They kiss and cuddle, but they've both decided that they'll wait until they get married before going any further. I had wondered. Anoka admitted, glancing at the staircase again. Naruto mentioned that he still has another stage to go in the exams. What does it consist of? Duels. Zabuza stated. One-on-one fights until one participant gives up or cannot continue. Naruto's up against Hyuga Neji in the first round, then probably that taijutsu specialist and his brother in all but blood Rock Lee in the second. Third will be either Sasuke the Sharingan user or Gaara the Jinchuriki, and finally I'd guess Hinata. Here, I have a spare copy of the fight plan. Anoka looked at it. What can you tell me about the other contestants? Planning on doing some betting, heh? So am I. Let's start with Hyuga Neji. He uses the Hyuga Taijutsu style Juken almost exclusively, which is both his greatest strength and his greatest weakness. Hinata clapped her hands in joy as Naruto stood before her, having managed to successfully perform one of the jutsu from the reclaimed Gakutora scrolls. Running up to him, she hugged him, then started to stroke his ears. So soft, she whispered as the ears twitched underneath her gentle ministrations, and Naruto almost melted against her. Movement caught her eye and she reached down with her free hand, catching Naruto's twitching tail and stroking it as well. Hinata, Naruto moaned, that feels so good, you may want to stop if we are to learn this ourselves. Haku said, causing Hinata to leap away from Naruto and blush. So this is secret technique tiger enhancement. Tiger ears, tail, some fur and enhanced reflexes, yes? I think so, yes. Naruto said, checking himself over. That's what the scroll said, anyway. Hinata nodded and turned to Kyuka, who nodded slowly and presented her paw. Hinata used a kunai to prick it, drawing blood, then cut her own hand and let Kyuka's blood drip into the cut. As it did so, she started the hand seal sequence that would infuse Kyuka's blood into her own and create a true bond between them. For a moment, both she and Kyuka seemed to glow, then the glow faded and Hinata looked at her hand, seeing the silver-colored scar that showed that the bond had formed. Okay, now here's the technique, run through it a few times and try it out. Hinata nodded as she read the scroll while Haku went through the bonding ritual with his own partner, stalks across the icy lake or Hayu. One cloud of smoke later, Naruto stared at an incredibly cute cat-girl version of Hinata who was standing there, ears and tail twitching. Wow. Hinata said, looking round. My senses are better and my Byakugan is sharper. This is amazing. Kawaii. Hinata spun round just in time to be glomped to the floor by Anko. Oh Kami, you're just so cute like this. Anko exclaimed, pulling the shocked girl into a tight hug as Naruto almost collapsed with laughter. Look at those ears, that tail, that cute little look of confusion. If I didn't live in the same bunker as you, I'd be taking you home with me. Naruto fell over, clutching at his ribs as he howled at Hinata's situation. Chapter 26, Training and New Faces. Naruto slumped, gasping for breath as he released the jutsu. His form seemed to waver, then returned from his near-cat mode back to human. That was quite impressive, said a familiar voice from the entrance, and Naruto looked up with a smile. GG. What are you doing here? I came to introduce you to a student of mine. Sarutobi said. He's waiting upstairs, and Sarutobi stopped as a resounding slap echoed and Naruto winced. Oh dear. Sounds like someone tried something perverted with Anoka. She's happy to swap innuendos, but if anyone actually tries anything physical, the sound of a fading scream echoed and Naruto sighed. Please tell me that the person you wanted to introduce me to isn't a pervert. Well, he can act a bit perverted at times. Sarutobi admitted. He's an excellent shinobi and he's written many excellent books. Such as? Naruto queried and Sarutobi coughed in embarrassment. Well, he's most famous for the Ika series Jiraiya. Naruto stated. I read his book The Tale of the Utterly Gutsy Shinobi. In fact, that's the book Kakashi-sensei used to teach me to read properly. He said that I was named after the main character. Sarutobi looked impressed. Jiraiya is one of the best sealing masters in Konoha. I bet Anoka's better. Naruto said. I taught her the Kage Bunshin and she turned one of the storage rooms into her personal workshop. She makes storage seals and various tags there, and sells them to Tenten's dad. As family, I get them for slightly more than they cost to make but less than the retail price. She's also training Haku, Hinata and myself in basic Fuinjutsu, storage seals and so on. Plus, she's placed security seals all round the bunker. I'd heard some of my shinobi saying that the new tags were the best ones they had come across, despite the cost. Sarutobi said with a smile. I had wondered where they were coming from. But how does Kage Bunshin help? It lets her do loads of tags at once. Naruto grinned. Also let her fill out all the registration forms very quickly. She says that Kage Bunshin is great for paperwork, as long as you concentrate on wanting to do it as you make the clones. Sarutobi stared at him for a moment, then removed his hat, turned and started beating his head gently against the wall. Baka, 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 baka Gigi, what's wrong all those years and I never thought of doing that. Sarutobi groaned. Doing what? Anoka asked, appearing in the doorway. Oh, by the way, there was a white-haired pervert up there. I chased him away. Who was he? Sarutobi slumped against the wall as Naruto started to laugh. No, seriously. Who was he? Hinata, are you ready for what's Jiraiya doing on the floor? Oh, do you know him? Hinata asked, blushing furiously. Sorry, he made a comment and I detonate trigram 64 bombs on him. Naruto blinked. No wonder he's out cold. Hang on. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. A single clone popped into view and Naruto pointed to the white-haired man lying on the floor. Take him to the hospital, then dispel once he's receiving treatment. Gotcha, boss. The clone said, picking up Jiraiya and slinging him over his shoulders. Naruto and Hinata watched him depart, then Naruto realized what he had originally been about to ask. So, you ready for the meal out? Hinata nodded as she adjusted her new top. Yep, it's been a few days since I last saw Kiba and Shino. Where's Anoka? Kakashi came back with Sasuke for supplies and Gigi commanded him to test her to see what level she is. Naruto said. She said she'd join us there, she'll probably need to wash up first. I wonder what rank she'll get. Hinata mused. From when we sparred, I can tell she's really good. Chunin for sure. Naruto grinned as Hinata let him scoop her up in his arms. Walking outside, he looked round, then concentrated. Naruto, what are you uhu? Naruto smiled as he finished the third shunshin, placing him just opposite the barbecue restaurant. Hinata clutched him tightly as she recovered from the dizziness. Warn a girl next time. Sorry. Naruto chuckled as he carried her into the restaurant, looking round to see Kiba waving to him from a large table. Hinata looked round and her eyes widened. Put me down. She hissed and Naruto lowered her feet to the floor, taking advantage of her proximity to kiss her cheek. Hinata shook her head. No, Naruto, you do it like this. All 11 of the assembled genins stared as Hinata grabbed Naruto's head and pulled him into a deep kiss, then Kiba started cheering while Sasuke and Shikamaru started to laugh. Hinata released him and blushed. "I hope you've learned your lesson," she said mock sternly. "Now come on, let's not keep our friends waiting." Naruto grinned as he followed Hinata to the table and held out the chair for her to be seated before sitting down next to her. "No need to ask if you're still in love," Kiba joked. "I think you proved that you still are." Hinata's blush intensified at Kiba's comment, but before she could say anything, Ino reached over and swatted him. "Stop that," she said. "I think it's sweet. Where's Anoka? I've been wanting to meet her. I need to get gossip about her. I'm in danger of losing my position as the gossip queen of Konoha." A round of laughter met Ino's statement and Naruto looked round at the other rookies. "Only a week to go," he said. "I hope that you are training hard, especially you, Niji. I don't want an easy win, I want you to make me really work for my victory, like Tenten did." Tenten smiled at the compliment even as Niji chuckled slightly. "I shall do my utmost to challenge you, Naruto-san," he replied. "You will have to use both sword and cat against me if you wish to win." "My training is going well also," Lee proclaimed. "And whichever of you wins, I shall be there to give you a true challenge." "Boys, calm down," Tenten said, making calming motions with her hands. "You can swap boasts and challenges after the meal." "She's right," Shuji said, looking longingly at where the food was being prepared. "Food comes first. Never argue with an Akimichi about food," Shikamaru said. "It's just too troublesome." "Hello, sorry to keep you waiting," Anoka said from behind them. "I saved a seat for you," Shino said, and Anoka slid into it with a smile. "Thanks, Shino. What did I miss? He's really that big?" Ino gasped, staring at the size Sakura had just described with her hands. "That's the size that Sai said he was, yes," Sakura said. "Hinata, did he get it right?" Hinata shook her head slightly, then blushed. "So is he smaller or bigger?" "Bigger? You have to be kidding. How big is he?" Ino gasped, leaning forwards. Hinata's blush deepened and she sank deeper into the water, only for Anoka to grab her and pull her back to the surface. "Oh no you don't. I'm not letting you drown yourself out of embarrassment, it would upset Naruto." Tenten laughed. "You are one lucky girl, getting him for yourself. When I lost to him, I was so turned on by his skill and strength. If you ever decide you don't want him, I'll be happy to take him off your hands." Hinata's blush deepened and she quickly changed the subject. "Anoka-san, how did your test go?" "It went very well." Anoka smiled. "I am now a full chunin of Konoha, and on the list for promotion to special jonin once I've gained some experience. The Hokage also put me on the special skills list for my Fuinjutsu, and Fox-sama of ANBU has already asked me if I can provide some special tags since mine are better than most of what were available in Konoha before I arrived. We're selling her tags at my dad's shop." Tenten explained. "I swear, he almost proposed to her after testing the first explosive tag that she provided, and when she showed she could make shock tags, chakra suppression tags, tracking tags and loads of other things, I haven't seen him so happy in years. I'm earning quite a bit from it." Anoka smirked. "I'm saving up, and when I have enough, I'm going to buy some land and build my own house. I was thinking of buying up the old Namikaze mansion since the foundation is still intact. I'm also earning money checking and repairing the seals along the walls and in the gates, some of them had almost faded to nothing. The new arrays I included should help." Sakura nodded. "I heard that the council are moving to have you declared the clan head of the resurrected Uzumaki clan as soon as you come of age, giving you a seat on the council. Until then, I've asked Sabuza to be my regent, since he's already there and Naruto-kun trusts him," Anoka said. "I heard you've been taking lessons from him, Tenten." I have, and so has Sasuke. Tenten confirmed. He's got really good with that Chikudo of his, and it's made from chakra metal. He can push fire or lightning through it. He was really inspired by Naruto being able to use wind. Naruto's really good, Sakura admitted. Of course, since he was trained as a kid by both Kakashi-sensei and Madogai, that's only to be expected. And when Anko added her assassination training, Kakashi had already trained him in stealth, and with what Anko taught him, I've seen Naruto scare the hell out of Kakashi by popping up out of nowhere beside him, without Kakashi noticing he was there for a full minute. Ino and Tenten both whistled in awe. Hinata simply nodded. He's managed to get past my Byakugan in the past, she admitted. I've asked and begged, but he won't tell me how he did it. Even going catgirl and being cute didn't help. Going what now? Ino asked and Anoka giggled. You need to show them now, Hinata-chan. Hinata sighed and flashed through several hand seals, moving fast enough that the others couldn't make out the sequence. A brief cloud of smoke engulfed her, and when it cleared, it revealed a lightly furred Hinata with cat ears looking at everyone. Kawaii. Anoka almost collapsed with laughter as Ino, Sakura and Tenten simultaneously glomped the poor girl, nearly drowning her in the process. What are they doing on that side? Kiba asked as the cry of Kawaii echoed over the wall between the two outdoor pools. Niji blinked and restrained himself from using his Byakugan with great difficulty. Probably swapping stories about us, Shikamaru said from where he was leaning against the edge of the pool. Girls can be so troublesome. How do you do it? Kiba asked. You're going to marry one of the hottest babes in the village, your cousin is just as hot, and you have Niji's teammate lusting after you. I could smell her pheromones after your fight. She was really turned on. How do you know so much about things like that? Naruto asked and Kiba shrugged. Hey, we Inuzuka live by our instincts. We learn about these things young. Besides, when you have senses as sharp as mine, you can't help noticing these things. I can usually tell what someone's feeling by their scent, and Tenten was reeking of lust after you beat her. I understand that Anoka is staying with you at this time, Niji said. Yet I had thought that all the main bedrooms were taken. Is she in one of the barracks rooms? Naruto opened his mouth, then froze for a moment. I'm not sure I want to answer this. You'll just get angry at me again. Niji blinked, then lunged at Naruto. Lee and Chuji managed to grab him before he could reach the rapidly retreating boy. You're sleeping with my cousin again? It was her decision, Naruto protested. I got back from Wave and found she'd moved all my things into her apartment, and I had a guest with me. What was I supposed to do? Sasuke smirked. Calm down, Niji. I think that your cousin just wanted her snugly. After all, he'd been gone for just over 2 weeks. I don't think that's helping, Sasuke, Naruto said nervously as Niji doubled his attempts to break free. In fact, I think it's time to leave. Lee, can you run my clothes back to the bunker afterwards? I'll pick them up later, but right now I need to hide. Demon technique, reverse dagger summoning. Naruto vanished in a flash of red chakra and Niji froze, then his flat gaze moved to Sasuke. Hey, don't look at me, I wasn't involved at all with whatever's happening between Naruto and Hinata. Niji lunged forwards, then stopped dead in his tracks as Sasuke flinched away. I'd advise fleeing, Shikamaru said. I'm not sure how long I can hold him for. Sasuke glanced down, spotting the shadow connecting to Niji, then pausing only to give Shikamaru a look of gratitude, he scrambled out of the pool and sprinted into the changing room. Let me go. Not yet, Shikamaru said. Lee, Chuji, Kiba, if you three could restrain him please? Kiba gulped as Niji glared at him. What do you think all that shouting is about? Anoka asked as she dried her hair. Not a clue, Ino said. Any ideas? I heard Niji-Nisan shouting, "Oh dear." What? All the other girls asked and Hinata sighed. I think Niji's just found out what sleeping arrangements Naruto and I have. He's become rather protective of me since I stopped being the Hyuga heir. Sleeping arrangements? Sakura asked, but it wasn't Hinata who answered. Hinata-chan decided that she was missing her snugly, and moved all his stuff from his old room into her apartment. Anoka explained as Hinata quickly donned her jacket and made use of the collar in hiding her blush. That freed up a room for me to use until I get my own place. The other girls nodded in understanding and Ino grinned. Making a move like that, wow Hinata. Do you share a bathroom with him? Do you bathe together? Hinata's blush deepened, then she took a deep breath and composed herself. We do share a bathroom, and we have showered together, she said quietly. And every time I see him, I realize just how lucky I am to have him. I don't think anyone else in the country is as kind and thoughtful as he is, and his cooking is superb. That last part one agree with completely. Anoka noted. The only thing I can't vouch for are the cinnamon rolls, because they're always gone before I get there. Hinata blushed again. Chapter 27, The Finals Part 1. Naruto stood with 8 of the other 9 finalists in the middle of the crowded stadium. Behind the high walls, it seemed like half the village had come to witness the battles. Naruto-san. Niji said softly from beside him, his voice filled with wry amusement. Will you be giving me a choice of whether you fight with sword or cat? Kami, no. Naruto smirked. You've seen me fighting with my sword and as a tiger, so I'm going to be doing something completely new against you. Especially since you promised to destroy me for going along with Hinata's choice. Hinata-heim, if I have to use certain skills, it may make your fight harder since I'm sure Temari suspects you have similar skills to me. Sorry in advance. On Naruto's other side, Hinata shrugged. We may have some skills in common, Naruto-kun, but we use them in different ways. I should be fine. Naruto looked over at the clan seating where Anoka's red hair was highly visible beside the dark hair of the masked Hyugas. I don't know whether to be pleased or worried that Hanabi's taken such a shine to Anoka. Naruto admitted, seeing Hanabi and Anoka were sharing a bag of something. Still, she's settling in as a chunin very well. Shino's been helping her settle in. Hinata smiled. He's really smitten with her. Naruto looked round again. Where the heck is Sasuke? He's behind the buttress over there along with Kakashi. Hinata said, tilting her head slightly. Niji activated his Byakugan briefly and grunted in agreement. They're probably planning on making a last-second entrance. Hinata sighed, then looked across to where Temari was standing, giving her a measuring look. Did Jiraiya ever catch up to you? I heard that he was going to offer you some training. While I was hiding from Niji, yes. He wanted me to sign the Toad contract. Naruto replied. I kind of put him off for a while and talked with Kruguri about it. He doesn't have a problem, the great cats have quite a bit of respect for the toads, but I got the feeling that Jiraiya sees me as Minato's legacy rather than as me, if that makes any sense. I felt the same while I was heir. Hinata agreed. Since I passed that position to Hanabi, I felt more like myself. I know just what you are saying. Did you manage to get the 3rd form? Succeeded yesterday. Naruto replied, careful not to say just what it was the 3rd form of. Takes a ton of chakra, though. Hang on. Niji said. Great cats? What in Kami's name did you find in Wave, and should I simply forfeit now? Hinata-sama? You'll find out, if you fight hard enough for Naruto-kun to resort to it. Hinata smirked, reaching back with her free hand to stroke Kyuka's ears. Just be grateful he hasn't signed the Toad contract yet. Niji swallowed nervously. This is certainly an interesting day. The veiled Kazekage said as he bowed slightly to Sarutobi and sat down, looking out into the field. I see 2 of my children are ready to show how good they are, but aren't we missing one of the genin? Yes. Sarutobi sighed. Uchiha Sasuke has yet to show. I hope he's not taking after his sensei. Kakashi's infamous for always being late for everything except a high-ranked mission. I have my own share of jonin with personality issues. The Kazekage replied, settling back in his chair. My daughter mentioned one of your genin, a Naruto? May I ask about him? That would be Kagetora Naruto. Sarutobi said. That's him, the blonde second from the right. And the cats? The one on the left is his bond partner, Kaze. The cat next to him is Hyuga Hinata's bond partner, Kyuka. Chunin Kagetora Haku also has a bond partner, you can see them over there, along with his uncle, Momochi Zabuza no Kagetora. I see them. The Kazekage said, his voice showing that he was impressed. How many of these great tigers does Konoha have? Close to 200, but very few of them are actually bonded. Hiruzen said with a slight smile. The Kagetora clan is growing in size and power and has allied itself not only with the Hyuga clan, but also the resurrected Uzumaki clan. The Kazekage froze. The resurrected Uzumaki? You can see the clan head of the Uzumaki, Uzumaki Onoka, sat by the Hyuga clan over there. Her red hair is very visible. We hope to find others and bring them in to boost the numbers of the Uzumaki, bring them to full prominence as they were in Yuzushiogakure. Already, Onoka has made quite a name for herself with her creation of new sealing tags of various descriptions. Now, I believe it is time to begin, yes? Shiranui Ginma stepped forwards and looked at the line of genin in front of you. Taking a deep breath, he spoke. I am the proctor for this exam, since Height Gecko is currently in hospital, in a coma after being attacked by an unknown assailant while protecting Suna Jonin Baki. Fortunately for us all, a team of ANBU on patrol scared away the attacker and Baki insisted on escorting them to hospital. However, despite their best efforts, Height remains in a coma. Therefore, I am your new proctor. I expect you know the rules. But if any of you are stupid enough to have forgotten them, here they are. When commanded, you will fight your designated adversary. When commanded to stop, you will do so. Should you fail to stop on command, I am allowed to use any technique I choose to stop you, killing you if I deem it necessary, although I don't like filling out the paperwork afterwards. The first match of Kagetora Naruto against Hyuga Niji. If all others can go to the contestants' balcony now, it would be helpful. As the other genin turned towards the stairs, Hinata gave Naruto a quick kiss on the cheek, ignoring Niji's glare. Don't hold back, Naruto-kun. Niji's been practicing countering the skills you showed in the preliminaries. Are you sure? Trust me. Naruto grinned as Hinata vaulted onto Kyuka's back and they moved towards the stairs, then he turned back to face Ginma. Ready. Ginma nodded and looked at Niji. I am prepared to fight. And for the honor of the Hyugas, I will win this match. Is it fated? Naruto quipped and Niji glared at him. If it is, I shall accept it. If not, I shall fight it. I have learned that from you. Now, you will face a true master of Jukin. Match 1. Ginma proclaimed, stepping back several paces as Naruto and Niji dropped into their respective fighting stances, Niji activating his Byakugan as he did so. Hyuga Niji of Konoha vs Kagetora Naruto and Kaze of Konoha, fight. Naruto instantly performed a blurring sequence of hand seals. A brief burst of smoke surrounded him and when it dispersed, the figure standing there was not what anyone expected. And Naruto? Niji asked, almost unable to believe it, and the bipedal tiger man in front of him nodded even as he drew the kitsune's claw from its position on his back. You have your clan techniques, I have mine. Naruto rumbled as Kaze lay down to watch. Witness the power of the secret technique Tiger Warrior. As he finished speaking, Naruto crouched briefly, then accelerated past Niji, skidding to a stop halfway across the stadium. Niji remained motionless for a moment, then clutched at where Naruto had managed to slice through his jacket and inflicted a shallow cut on the side of his torso. So fast, he gasped, turning to try and keep track of Naruto, who grinned at him, then blurred towards him. Niji managed to deflect the blade with a chakra-charged palm strike, but Naruto simply spun round and accelerated to an even higher speed. Kaiten! Hanabi gasped and Anoka looked at her. That technique, how did Niji learn it? Hanabi half-whispered. The Kaiten is only taught to the main house, not the branch house. Naruto bounced off the chakra dome and skidded across the arena, rolling to his feet as he jammed his sword into the ground to stop his slide. Nice one, Niji. That is a truly impressive defense. I guess I'll have to take it up a notch. Naruto held out his dagger. Demon Technique Yukai Senbon. The dagger glowed in his hand and shifted form, becoming a large bundle of senbon. Without wasting a second, Naruto began throwing them at Niji, who dodged them, ignoring them as they landed on the ground around him. The last one, he tried to catch, only to drop it and stare at his bleeding fingers. You like it? Yukai Senbon, they'll cut anyone they hit, only I can touch them safely. An impressive weapon, but you've used them all now. Niji said, and Naruto shook his head. Holding up one hand, he frowned slightly and one of the senbon near Niji vanished, reappearing in Naruto's hand. You were saying? Niji dodged the thrown senbon and sprinted towards Naruto, who summoned another senbon. You are within range of my divination. 8 trigrams 128 palms. Before the first strike could connect, Naruto vanished in a burst of red chakra, appearing where Niji had been standing a moment earlier as the senbon he had been holding dropped to the floor. Niji stopped his attack and spun round, eyes wide, just in time to see Naruto vanishing again, this time appearing immediately behind Niji. Before Niji could respond, Naruto grabbed him and spun, hurling the teenager across the arena towards Kaze, who rose from his rest and pounced as Niji skidded to a halt, landing on the unfortunate Hyuga and placing his teeth on his neck. I would advise you to yield. Naruto said calmly. Proctor, I cannot escape and thus yield. Niji stated. Kaze released him and backed away as Niji slowly pulled himself to a sitting position. Kagetora Naruto wins. Genma proclaimed. Now pick up those damned senbon of yours. Naruto grinned as he released his transformation. Holding up his hand, he concentrated and all the senbon vanished, reforming in his hand as his dagger, which he placed on his left thigh before offering his hand to Niji. You fought well. Naruto said. Speed, improvisation, adaptation, but your weakness was not your technique. Critique me later. Niji groaned, leaning against Naruto for support. For now, just get me somewhere that I can rest. And what the hell are the great cats? I know you didn't use them against me. I'll tell you later, assuming that Hinata doesn't call on them. Naruto said as he half-carried Niji to the exit. I had her sign the scroll too. And Haku, as well, although I'm the only one who can summon Kriguri. Who? Quite a spectacle your Kagetora Naruto makes. The Kazekage noted and Hiruzen nodded. He does indeed, although that was a new one on me. A partial transformation without needing physical contact with Kaze. I wonder what else he learned on that training trip of his. And that other technique, it looked like the Hiration. Hiruzen nodded. Yes, it did, but it's different. I've asked him about it, and it's a skill that no one else could learn. A mini Kekkai Genkai, you might say. Interesting match too. Genma said. Inuzuka Kiba and Akamaru of Konoha versus Rock Lee of Konoha. Fight! Even as Genma finished his command, Kiba flung a soldier pill into Akamaru's mouth. All Force Jutsu. Man-Beast Clone Jutsu. The burst of smoke cleared to reveal 2 Kibas, both of whom instantly charged towards Lee, who had taken a Goken stance. Fong over Fong. Both Kibas hurtled towards Lee, spinning like cutting drills as they did so, and Lee, instead of trying to dodge, leapt into the air, delivering a pair of spinning kicks. Clang! Clang! Lee landed in a slight crouch as both Kibas crashed into the ground. What was that? Are you made of iron or something? Lee pulled up one of his leg warmers to reveal a set of weight underneath. I wear these most youthful weights to aid me in becoming faster and stronger. They also prove most useful in deflecting incoming attacks that might otherwise hurt me. The two Kibis looked at each other, then both charged at Lee, aiming to perform a slashing attack. As they closed in, Lee grabbed their hands and threw himself into a forward somersault, landing lightly and slamming both Kibis full length into the ground. One of them vanished in a puff of smoke which dissipated to reveal the unconscious form of Akamaru. Damn it! Kiba gasped. You're too good, I can't win. Proctor, I forfeit. I don't want Akamaru to get hurt. Yash, my eternal friend and rival. Lee exulted, turning to face the contestants' balcony. I shall soon be facing you in a test to see whose flames of youth are more powerful. Naruto waved back as Genma called the match. Eternal friend and rival? The Kazekage asked and Sarutobi smiled. Lee and Naruto both trained extensively under the taijutsu master Jonin Madogai. They've come to see each other almost as brothers, and they constantly compete against each other in order to become better. They've both been looking forwards to the chance to go full out against each other in order to see who's currently better and how they can improve. I see. How commendable. You must be proud of them. I am. Match 3. Where is Uchiha Sasuke? Damn grandstander. Naruto muttered, glancing over to the Kage box where Sarutobi and the Kazekage were talking. A moment later, Sarutobi rose and stepped forwards. The third match will be postponed. Move on. Very well. Match 4, Shikamaru Nara of Konoha vs Tsuchikin of Odo. Could the two competitors please come down? Shikamaru sighed and walked to the stairs while Kin, smirking, strode down ahead of him. The two of them came to a halt before Genma. Okay, put up a good show. Fight! Kin reacted almost instantly, throwing a group of 24 bell-tagged Senbon around Shikamaru, only for him to vanish in a puff of smoke, leaving a log behind. Damn it! Kawarimi! Kin cursed, looking round as she pulled out more Senbon from her pouch, holding them ready to throw. An instant later, she froze and the log faded away, revealing that Shikamaru had not used a Kawarimi, but a henge and had caught her in his shadow. Kageme no Jutsu, complete. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Kin snarled. How did you do that? How did you know to do that? I researched your abilities that you showed in the preliminaries. Shikamaru said, flexing his fingers and pulling a kunai out of his pouch. Caught by the shadow, Kin mimicked his motions, her Senbon bouncing off the ground as she also pulled out a kunai. So what, we stab each other for a mutual death? Kin smirked and Shikamaru sighed. No, I do this. Shikamaru said, reversing his kunai and moving it near his neck. Kin mirrored the movement, staring in confusion, until she felt her kunai snag on the end of her scarf and start to pull it tight around her neck. Wait, don't, she choked out before Shikamaru moved his kunai further, watching with cold eyes as she started fighting for air. As her eyes started to roll up, he released her and she fell to her hands and knees, taking huge gasps of air as she fought to recover. Then Shikamaru grabbed her hair and pulled her back, setting his kunai against her throat. Quit or die. Shikamaru said and Kin gulped. I forfeit. She whispered and Shikamaru nodded. If I hadn't known about your trick from Ino, you would probably have won. He said as he walked off. It was your bad luck that you didn't plan ahead. You could have been a most troublesome opponent if you had. Winner, Shikamaru. Chapter 28, The Finals Part 2. Match 5, Hyuga Hinata of Konoha vs Temari no Sabaku of Suna. Begin! Hinata backflipped out of the way of Temari's opening attack, landing on Kyuka's back and performing a fast series of hand seals. Combination Kagetora clan technique Great Tiger Henge no Jutsu. Crap! Temari cursed as Hinata vanished in a cloud of smoke. You can do the tiger thing too? How? You're a Hyuga. Hinata flowed down off Kyuka's back, then the two of them loped away from each other, taking positions with Temari in the middle, easily dodging the wind blades that Temari unleashed in an attempt to keep them away from her. After a few seconds, Hinata started to charge forwards and Temari spun to face her, raising her fan. Wind Release Woe. Unnoticed, Kyuka had unleashed her earth jutsu, causing the ground to ripple and making Temari stumble. As Temari fought to recover, Hinata pounced, knocking her down and landing on top of her, jaws fixed around her neck. Damn it. Temari sighed. You win. Now get off me please? Winner, Hinata. Ginma declared as Hinata reverted and stepped off Temari, allowing the blonde to scramble to her feet. Damn it, the fat boy lasted longer than I did. Temari grumbled. Hinata smiled. You were at a disadvantage. I had seen your techniques, you hadn't seen mine. It is hard to fight what you do not expect. I can't believe I got defeated so fast. Temari groused. Even Dogboy lasted longer than I did. That's just embarrassing. I'm supposed to be a strong kunoichi, not a cat toy. Hinata giggled. Gaara stood alone in the middle of the arena, glaring at Ginma who in turn was looking up at the Kage box. There is no sign of Uchiha Sasuke, my lord Hokage. He said, only to be interrupted by a small cyclone of leaves. As it dropped, it revealed Kakashi and Sasuke standing back to back, arms folded. In addition to his usual outfit, Sasuke had bandages and straps around both legs and his left arm. Sorry we're late. Kakashi smiled as Ginma glared at him. The match got delayed because you were late. Ginma growled and Kakashi shrugged. Well, we're here now, so everything's fine. Don't you agree, Sasuke? HNPH. See? He's eager to begin. Ginma glared at Kakashi, who vanished in another swirl of leaves, leaving Sasuke and Gaara to glare at each other. Ginma took a few paces back. Alright, the rules for this match are the same as in the preliminaries. The match continues until one of you dies or admits defeat. However, I can stop the match, but that's solely my decision. Gaara chuckled and Sasuke frowned back at him. Match 3, delayed, Gaara no Sabaku of Suna vs Uchiha Sasuke of Konoha, begin. As soon as he said it, Sasuke leapt back and threw a pair of shuriken at Gaara, who didn't even twitch as billows of sand flowed out of his gourd and caught the projectiles before shifting shape, becoming a copy of Gaara which threw the shuriken back at Sasuke. Sasuke smirked as he easily dodged the projectiles. The sand shield became a sand clone. Temari gasped from the balcony as Hinata watched, Byakugan active. There's chakra in the sand, and it's Biju chakra. Hinata murmured. Naruto-kun was right, Gaara is a Jinchuriki just like him. Temari jolted as if someone had stabbed her with a kunai. What? You mean that comment a month ago about sealing he knew back then? How? Naruto's the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Hinata said, gazing at the scene below them. Your brother holds the Ichibi, the one-tailed tanuki. Naruto-kun recognized the feel of the leaking yukai and the scent. He warned Shino, that's why he forfeited, and Sasuke. I don't know how Sasuke prepared, but we'll soon see. Who else knows? About Gaara? Temari asked, her eyes wide and hands gripping the railing tightly. Most of the Konoha shinobi, by now. Hinata said almost absently. Shit, this is bad, very bad. Temari thought, and I'm stuck here with no way to warn Baki-sensei that Konoha are fully prepared for this part of the plan, even though they don't realize it. Wait a minute, how are you so calm about my brother being a Jinchuriki? Temari asked, trying to hide her rising panic. Simple, I'm engaged to Naruto-kun. Hinata smiled. I know that Naruto would never hurt me, or anyone that he cares about. Temari stared at her, shock warring with panic for supremacy. She's happy about marrying a Jinchuriki? Sasuke struck at the neck of the sand clone, only for the sand to wrap itself around his wrist. Delivering a powerful cross-strike, he shattered the sand manacle and leapt away to buy a few seconds to think of a new plan of attack. Dashing forwards, he launched a punch, only to vanish in a blur of speed as the sand rose in a barrier before him. What? Where did he go? Gaara thought, just as Sasuke reappeared behind him, already striking. The sand barely blocked in time as Sasuke vanished in a blur of speed once more. Again and again, the sand shifted, just barely in time to block the incoming strikes. My sand, it's barely matching his speed. Gaara thought, spinning just in time to see Sasuke's punch being stopped by his sand. Before the sand could even start to reform, Sasuke had vanished again. How is he doing that? Ino gasped as she and Sakura sat watching the match along with Tenten. Simple. Guy said from behind them, causing Ino and Sakura to jump and squeak in shock. Sasuke asked for permission to copy Lee's speed, and has trained with it for the last month. Although he is not up to Lee's standards since he gains his speed through channeling chakra rather than pure hard work, meaning that he cannot maintain the speed for very long, it should be enough for this fight, combined with the other moves my eternal rival has taught him. But what did Lee get out of it? Tenten asked and Guy grinned. Lee Kuin got to choose for jutsu from the Uchiha library for himself. He chose low-level jutsu that fit with his combat style and enhances it considerably without causing a significant drain on his chakra reserves. And Sasuke ensured that he does not know which jutsu Lee Kuin picked, so he cannot develop any counters ahead of time. Truly a most youthful course of action, and one which has gained my respect. So to gain an advantage against Gaara, he willingly gave Lee an advantage against him, right? Sakura asked. That is absolutely right, cute student of my eternal rival. As he explained to Lee and I when he made the trade, he knows that Lee does not truly wish to kill him, so he is likely to survive that fight, while Gaara is so bloodthirsty that he needs every advantage he can get. I see. Sakura mused. Go Sasuke! Ino cheered. Gaara spun round as the sand to his right was almost dissipated by a powerful kick, then a fist punched through the shield behind him and knocked him forwards. Pulling more sand from his gourd, he turned round, then something made him look up, just in time for a powerful kick to slam down on his head. Staggering backwards, Gaara felt the layer of sand on his skin, the layer which kept him safe from harm, crack and begin to flake away. So fast, how is he this fast? How can he be this strong? Gaara thought as Sasuke wove through his defensive sand and grabbed him, then Sasuke drove his knee into Gaara's stomach and followed up almost instantly with a powerful kick that sent him flying backwards. As he landed, his sand cushioned the impact and he looked up, eyes wide in shock to see Sasuke taking an upright fighting stance. Is that all you've got? Sasuke taunted and Gaara growled. Pulling his hands up into a seal, he remained still as his gourd emptied itself, slowly forming a sphere around him, a sphere firmly attached to the ground. What? A wisp of sand formed an orb above the sphere, an orb which turned into a floating eye. Sasuke looked at the sphere rooted to the ground, then dashed forwards to deliver a powerful punch, only to dodge as the sphere suddenly extruded a barrier of long spikes. Retreating, he watched as the spikes withdrew back into the featureless sphere. Activating his Sharingan, Sasuke launched another strike, only for the sphere to defend with more spikes. Damn it! Kankuro muttered as he sat watching next to his Jonin-sensei Baki. What the hell does Gaara think he's doing, resorting to that? He knew the plan. Gaara was never one for plans when there was killing to be done. Baki said slowly. This could be a real problem. Kankuro nodded, teeth clenching as he watched his brother. Sasuke moved away from the sphere and leapt onto the wall surrounding the arena. Maintaining his position with the tree-walking technique, he undid the strap on his left arm, letting it fall to the floor. Placing his right hand on the back of his left, he concentrated just as he had trained to do, and chakra started to flow into and around his hand. That technique, Guy gasped. Yes. Kakashi said from behind him. My signature move, Chidori, or Thousand Birds. As well as training him to duplicate Lee's speed, I also trained him to use the lightning blade, but even with all the training I gave him, he can only use it 3 times a day before his chakra reserves get too low. And with how much he had to use to perform the speed boost, I'd say that after this, he only has one more shot. Kakashi-sensei, what is that move? Sakura asked. It's a lightning-charged attack that is delivered at high speed. Kakashi explained. The trouble is, the speed required causes the user to experience tunnel vision, so a Sharingan is needed to counter that. A Byakugan may work as well, my eternal rival. Guy said, and Kakashi thought about it, then nodded. Maybe, but probably not as well. The Byakugan lacks the Sharingan's mental speed boost. Wow, nice technique. Naruto whispered. I wonder how it would match up against my Rasengan. Looks like an elemental technique. Shikamaru nodded. Probably a short-ranged one that does massive damage when it hits. And from how far away from Gaara he is, I'd say it needs considerable speed to be effective. But if it does hit, it would be troublesome. Sasuke hurtled towards the sphere, the sparking electricity surrounding his left hand cutting a line in the ground as he accelerated, then he thrust his hand forwards even as the sphere started to bulge with growing spikes again. The lightning-enhanced strike met one of the spikes straight on and blasted through it, penetrating the shell and hitting something inside. For a long moment, no one moved, then something shifted inside the sphere and Sasuke tried to pull back. Blood! Gaara's voice screamed, magnified somehow by the sphere and echoing across the arena. It's my blood! I'm bleeding! Temari paled. Gaara's never been hurt before. This is bad. Very bad. Never been hurt before? Hinata asked, then she looked down at the arena. I suppose that with the sand acting as armor as well as its obvious shielding properties, that comes as no surprise. Temari glanced across at Hinata, then back at her screaming brother in his sand sphere. This is very, very bad. The sand held Sasuke's arm, squeezing it painfully, until Sasuke channeled his chakra to create lightning again. The sand's grasp loosened slightly and Sasuke pulled hard, feeling whatever was holding his wrist loosen its grip. Pulling free, he leapt back, eyes widening in shock as a blue-veined sand arm lunged through the hole he had made, trying to grab him before slowly retracting back into the sphere. A moment later, the sphere disintegrated, revealing Gaara standing, half-crouched as he grabbed his left shoulder, trying to stem the flow of blood from the wound. Sasuke gulped in great breaths of aid as he massaged his left wrist, trying to restore feeling to his hand. He looked at Gaara, thinking fast. From how he reacted, he's not used to pain, that sand skin of his probably protected him until now. I can only use one more Chidori before my chakra becomes too low, so I'll have to what the? Sasuke's thoughts were halted as the Kage box erupted in a cloud of smoke. That's the signal. Temari thought, reaching up to grab her fan. That's the signal. Baki and Kankuro thought, tensing ready to do their parts. The plume of smoke was visible to the ninja waiting outside Konoha, ninja wearing the Hittites of Suna and Sound. That's the signal. The leader of the ninja shouted. Finish the summonings and attack. That's the signal. Kabuto thought, smirking behind his stolen Umbu mask. Time to release the Genjutsu and secure Sasuke for Orochimaru. Chapter 29, The Invasion Begins. Hinata blinked a few times as she started to feel tired, then she realized what was happening. Kai! Everyone, do a dispel, now. Despite the surprise and unexpectedness of the demand, all the other Konohanin followed suit as Kin and Temari drew their weapons and turned to engage. This is troublesome. Shikamaru said as he caught the two kunoichi in his shadow. I guess that this is an invasion. Hinata? Hinata nodded and moved in front of the two kunoichi, then Niji stood beside her. Stand them up, please. Niji, 64. Kin slumped in the shadow's grip as Temari tried her hardest to break free. Niji nodded as he mirrored his cousin's stance. You are within range of my divination, they both declared in unison. 8 trigrams 64 palms. Kin had closed her eyes, so she didn't see the strikes that Hinata used to send her into blissful unconsciousness. Temari, on the other hand, was still struggling when Niji's hands blurred and managed to jerk backwards as Shikamaru released his shadow. Between her resistance and the initial strikes, she fell backwards over the railing. Look! Above the Kage box. Naruto shouted and everyone looked up to see a cube of purple chakra forming. Oh, this isn't good, Shikamaru stated. Hinata looked across at the oddly silent arena and her face hardened. Naruto-kun, remember what Kurenai-sensei taught you? We need a chakra pulse to cover the arena, and do it now. Naruto nodded and started to focus as Hinata's gaze dropped to Gaara and the two figures that had joined him. A moment later, Temari also joined the Suna group, then Kankuro and Temari grabbed Gaara and leapt out of the arena. Naruto, pulse. Kai. Kukukukuku, at last, old man, you're mine. The Kazakage gloated. Sarutobi glared at him. Orochimaru, he stated. Oh, indeed. Orochimaru replied with a smirk, shedding the Kage robes and hat. I promised I'd return and pay Konoha back for what they did to me, and here I am. You cannot win, Hiruzen stated, shedding his own outer robes to reveal his shinobi outfit. No one is going to help you, Orochimaru gloated. You can see that my guards have erected a barrier that no one can get through. It's just you and me, old man. Sarutobi glared at his student and shifted into a defensive stance. I am still a match for you, Orochimaru. Naruto watched as Sasuke got up, released from the genjutsu by the pulse, then dashed off after Gaara. Shit! Kiba snarled as below them, Baki engaged Kakashi in battle. We need to get after them, who knows what they're planning. I'm staying for a moment to help Sarutobi, Naruto stated. Hinata, Kiba, track Gaara, take whoever you wish. When you find him, use the dagger to summon me, just as I showed you. Come. Summoning his sword into his hand, Naruto launched himself off the balcony and towards the purple cube. Hinata grabbed Shikamaru and pulled him onto Kyuka. Kiba, Akamaru, you have Sasuke's scent? We know what he smells like, Kiba confirmed. I am coming too, Lee shouted. My speed and strength will be needed when we face Gaara. I'll help Naruto, Niji said, moving to the edge of the balcony. My Byakugan may be of some help against that barrier. Oh shit, Kiba said almost conversationally, and everyone still on the balcony followed his gaze to where two giant snakes were advancing towards the walls. For a moment, they remained motionless, then Hinata clapped her hands, startling them. Let's move. Lee, sprint to Tiger Forest and tell the tigers we need help, then catch up with us. I'm gone, Lee shouted, the second word fading as he vanished, leaving his leg weights behind. Kabuto killed the Umbu heading towards barrier surrounding Orochimaru and Sarutobi, then his gaze dropped to the arena and he frowned. Okay, Sasuke, where did you go? Anoka stared at the snakes approaching the wall, then leapt out of her seat and sprinted up a pillar to the roof where she encountered a familiar figure. Jiraiya! I need you! Jiraiya glanced at her. You've been reinforcing the walls, can they hold? Get me in front of that snake, it's heading for a natural strongpoint. Anoka commanded and Jiraiya nodded. Jump on. Anoka leapt onto his back as the white-haired Sannin crouched, then launched himself forwards at a speed that Anoka couldn't have matched without aid. It's gonna be close, he noted, and Anoka nodded. Just buy me 37 seconds to reinforce the wall, then another 73 to create a seal to banish that thing. Not a problem. Jiraiya grinned as he hurtled across the roofs and trees to the rapidly approaching wall. Anything for a beauty such as yourself. Anoka glared at him. This is no time for flirting. There's always time for flirting. A pale blur rocketed past them and Anoka grinned. Once you drop me off, can you deal with the other snake? My backup will be waiting for me. Orochimaru cursed as Sarutobi managed to block his sword. Somehow he had forgotten that his teacher's summons could transform into a staff, one that was effectively indestructible. At least he had a backup plan that he was more than happy to use. Leaping back, Orochimaru made several blurring hand signs and the roof buckled as a coffin rose up from where he had stored it before. A second one rose, then a third one, and Sarutobi paled as he saw the writing on the coffins. Orochimaru, you didn't, how could you? Edo Tensei Imperfect World Resurrection. Orochimaru gloated as the 3 coffins opened to reveal the decaying forms of the first, second and fourth Hokages. You can cope with 1 Kage-level opponent, Hiruzen, but can you cope with 4? The coffins seemed to glow and the 3 decaying bodies seemed to rebuild themselves, returning to how they had been in their prime before they opened their eyes and stepped out of the coffins. Not good. Neji snapped to Naruto and the ANBU operatives. Orochimaru's just summoned 3 to help him, and I can't see any weak spots in this thing. Ha! The 6-armed man gloated. As long as we remain as anchors, the barrier can't be broken. Naruto grinned and made a familiar hand sign. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. What are you planning, Naruto? Neji asked as 3 of the new Narutos smashed a hole into the roof, allowing almost a dozen to pour through it. Naruto threw a superior smirk at him, then plunged his sword into the roof, as did one of his remaining clones. As the noise of destruction echoed up through the hole, Naruto and his clones started running around the barrier, their swords almost effortlessly slicing through the tiles and support beams. Very clever. Neji admitted. Very, very clever. I hope it's in time. What is he doing? One of the ANBU asked. If it works, it'll take down the barrier. Neji replied with a smirk, watching Naruto's progress. And it's something that only Naruto would think of. How dare you do this, Orochimaru? Sarutobi snarled, his face contorting with fury, and Orochimaru laughed. I do it because I can, old man. Orochimaru smirked. But to summon Senju Hashirama, Senju Tobirama and Namikaze Minato, the 3 former Hokages looked at each other. Brother, it has been a while. Indeed it has, brother. Sarutobi, you've become old. Hey old man, how's my son doing? Sarutobi looked away guiltily and Minato frowned. What happened? The council removed Naruto's heritage from him, banning him from claiming to be either a Namikaze or an Uzumaki. Sarutobi said, and all 3 Hokages stared at him. The council did what? Tobirama asked. Why would ninja do such a thing? It was mainly the civilian council. Sarutobi said, and Tobirama frowned. When I set up the civilian council, it was to oversee the non-shinobi aspects of Konohagakure. How did they gain power over the ninja? How did they gain power over you? You see, proof that the old man's lost it. Orochimaru smirked, moving behind the first 2 Hokages and raising a pair of kunai with seals wrapped around them. Now I think it's time to what the? The entire roof suddenly dropped and the 4 sound shinobi fell, the sudden and unexpected movement destroying their concentration and disrupting the barrier, making it collapse. An instant later, the ANBU charged in and attacked Orochimaru while Neji moved to stand by Sarutobi. A moment after that, 2 of the 3 resurrected Hokages turned to dust and dissipated as Orochimaru released his technique as he defended himself from the new threat. Why haven't you faded, Minato? Sarutobi asked as a dozen sword-swinging blondes thundered past, ignoring the small group as they charged Orochimaru. A flash of red showed that the original had departed. I don't know, but I can feel myself fading fast. Minato said slowly. Tell me, what happened to Naruto? What happened to my son? What happened was I was tired, and my advisors used that against me. Sarutobi said sadly. They removed his legacy, his inheritance, and stripped him of his name with the support of the daimyo, but he didn't let that stop him. He has a new name, a new clan and new friends, and he has brought a full-blood Uzumaki to the village to revive your wife's clan in parallel with the one he is building, the Kagetora clan. Kushina used to mention the Gakutora. Minato mused and Sarutobi nodded. I have recognized the Kagetora as the Gakutora recreated, since the tigers the Gakutora used are now allied to Naruto and their techniques are his to use. Minato nodded even as his skin started to turn gray. Naruto is engaged to my cousin, Hinata. It started as friendship and soon became love. Niji offered and Minato smiled at him. It is good that the contract was adhered to, even despite what has happened. Minato said. Sarutobi, if you can, give him the Hiraishin as my apology. The scroll for it was destroyed. Sarutobi sighed. Your mansion and everything in it is gone, student of my student. I am sorry. Minato sighed and lowered his head, his voice fading. Then tell him I am sorry. And that I Lo Niji and Sarutobi watched as Minato faded away, his body vanishing in the breeze. Orochimaru cursed as he blocked yet another attack from that never-be-damned-enough blonde, then ducked under an attack from one of the ANBU. The attack had misfired, but if his forces would still get in, then he had a chance of winning. Fighting free, he looked across just in time to see the first summon smash into the wall surrounding Konoha, then his right arm seemed to erupt in agony as the blonde thrust a red glowing dagger into his palm. The impact of the giant snake caused Anoka to her knees as the bled-off kinetic energy lashed through the reinforcement seals. Most of it was transformed and used to reinforce the wall itself, but enough escaped that Anoka felt as if she'd been caught in a mid-level Raiton trap. Thanking Kami that she'd had, barely, enough time to reinforce the wall before the summons had hit, Anoka split her focus between fixing the weak parts of the seal and starting to form an area effect seal that would banish any and all summons, regardless of their energy levels. Up on the wall, Haku stood, resplendent in his new robes which had been designed to cover him both in his normal form and the tiger warrior form he now held. His chakra merged with Hayu's, he summoned ice lances and arrows from the moisture in the air, sending them to strike at the weak and vulnerable points of the summons looming before him. On either side, shinobi fought, the Konohanin trying to hold the wall, the Suna and Otonin trying to take it. Haku ignored them, his task was in front of him, and he needed all his concentration if he was not going to let his cousin down. He knew that he probably couldn't cause the summons to dispel, but his task was simple. To buy as much time as he could, regardless of cost. Haku knew his duty, and he would perform it. He always performed his duty to the best of his ability, it was his nindo. Kuchio Snow Jutsu Food Cart Destroyer. Jiraiya slammed his blooded hand against the ground and a seal formed around it, then a giant toad with twin swords materialized in the air above the incoming snake. Dropping down, it landed on the enemy summons, causing it to dispel as well as knocking down all the surrounding ninja with the force of its impact. Thanks Gamma Hero! Jiraiya shouted, then a massive impact sounded. Oh shit! Jiraiya whispered, seeing yet a third snake strike at the walls, this one actually managing to break through. As the snake slithered through, Jiraiya saw a large group of shinobi following it. Oh, that isn't good! He whispered, glancing back to ensure that the first snake hadn't made it through. A moment later, a strange glow suddenly spread through the village and both snakes vanished, as did Gamma Hero. An anti-summons seal. Jiraiya smirked. Well, that helps. Nice one, girly. Nice one. Well, time to help out again. Jiraiya channeled chakra to his legs and leapt towards the distant battle. Chapter 30, The Counterattack. Orochimaru stared in shock as the only snake that had penetrated the wall vanished. He tried to summon another snake, but even his shadow snakes were blocked by whatever had made the strange glow. What do we do, boss? Orochimaru snarled as he let Tayuya bandage the stump of his lost right hand. The fact that it had been effectively destroyed with a blade glowing with Yukai meant that the arm itself was already starting to rot, and without his right hand, his ability to do jutsu had been severely impeded. Something told him that doing a body-shedding technique would probably not help. We retreat. They've countered most of my trump cards, and with Sarutobi and Jiraiya around, even Suna's Jinchuriki cannot overcome our disadvantage. And our forces? Ignore them. Orochimaru said. I have more where they came from, and they were little more than sword fodder anyway. The more damage they do before they get killed, the better placed we'll be when we return to destroy Konoha. Let's go. And try to keep out of sight, let's let the damn tree huggers think we're still here. The longer they think that, the easier we can escape. I'll need all my medical staff assembled, this injury may prove problematic. Gaara, hold still. Temari tried to apply a bandage to her youngest brother's shoulder, but a sudden swirl of sand caused her to leap back as Gaara lifted his head, his eyes almost fixed with madness. He hurt me. Gaara ground out. Mother wants his blood, I want his blood, I will kill him. He will pay for hurting me. Kankuro dropped down from the tree. I just received a message, a group of Konohanin are following us and are about to be ambushed. That should buy a few more minutes for Gaara to get mobile, but we need to get into position to block Konoha reinforcements. Come on. With a worried look at her brother, Temari leapt into the trees. Troublesome. Shikamaru muttered as he shifted on Kyuka's back. We're being followed. Lee and I will deal with it, you go ahead and catch up with Sasuke. Shikamaru leapt off Kyuka's back and landed on the ground. Moving into the shelter of a bush, he motioned for Lee to do the same, then he focused as a group of 7 Suna ninja landed in the clearing. Kageme no Jutsu, complete. Shikamaru said as his shadow branched out and caught the ninja. Now, I can't hold you all for long, but I don't have to. Lee, please knock them all out as I let them go. Yash, I shall do that. Lee shouted as he blurred between the trapped ninja, striking at them as Shikamaru released each one and sending them into the trees or slamming into the ground. The last ninja, though, Lee threw into the trees above Shikamaru, who looked up just in time to see the thrown ninja slamming into a ninja who was dropping down, kunai in hand. Thanks, Lee. Shikamaru said. Good job. Naruto-kun's pulled similar tricks on me before with his Kage Bunshin, so I was prepared. Lee said. You are not as fast as I am, so climb onto my back and we shall head out after our youthful friends. Shikamaru sighed. As he let Lee settle him on his back, he spoke. Lee, no one finds out we did this. It would be a real drag putting up with all the teasing. Sasuke landed on the edge of the clearing and stared at Gaara. We still have a match to finish. Mother wants your blood. Gaara snarled, the sand rippling round him. In front of Sasuke's eyes, Gaara seemed to warp and grow as the sand formed round him, then Gaara lashed out with his left hand, the talons on the end of it slashed through the trees as Sasuke dodged. Time for you to prove my existence. Gaara ranted, his eyes gleaming with madness. Time for you to die. Sasuke dived under the second slash and threw his kunai at Gaara. The gourd on Gaara's back poured out more sand, which whipped round to swat away the kunai. Oh, not good. Sasuke whispered as Gaara turned to face him, showing that half his face had been changed by the strange technique. Puppet Master to our left. Hinata hissed as she dropped off Kyuka's back, Wind Girl to the right. I can take Temari, Kiba, you and Akamaru take on the puppeteer. His puppet's just there, he's hiding over there. Kiba sniffed slightly, then grinned. Got him. He said, pulling out a soldier pill. Hey, buddy, you up for one more round? Excellent. Good luck, Hinata. Don't get killed. Same to you. Hinata said, pulling out her dagger and handing it to Kyuka. Take this to the battlefield, push some chakra into it. Naruto-kun, I'll take it from there. Kyuka nodded and leapt away as Hinata performed a fast series of hand seals. Secret technique Tiger Warrior. A burst of smoke engulfed Hinata, dissipating to reveal her in her bipedal tiger transformed state. Well, Temari, she growled as she strode forwards, Byakugan activated and claws extended, let's play. Come on out, little mouse of the sand. From her position in the tree canopy, Temari swallowed nervously. Kankuro smirked as the beast-like Konohanin moved in closer to his puppet. Now you die. He whispered, only to freeze as a pair of talon-like hands grabbed his neck and arm. Did you really think I couldn't tell the difference between how puppets and people smell? Kiba growled, his voice filled with dark amusement. Be real. Kankuro gulped before the ninja slammed him against the tree. Can we talk about this? Sasuke slammed into the tree so hard that his vision swam. When it recovered, he found a pair of familiar feet in front of him. Well. Naruto said cheerfully. Looks like I got summoned just in time. Thanks Kyuka, you'd better take the dagger back to Hinata now. I got this. Kuchios no Jutsu. A cloud of smoke formed and dissipated to reveal a giant bipedal armor-clad lion. Kriguri-sama, I wondered if you'd like to join me in this fight. Naruto grinned. I would indeed. The summoned warrior rumbled, unsheathing his sword. I hear fighting in the background, maybe you should summon some others to help. At this time, you may summon the pride, the ambush, the knights, the leap. The Kriguri trailed off as he saw Naruto's expression. The what? They are how we great cats are defined. The pride are lions like myself. The ambush are tigers, the knights are the jaguars, the leap are leopards, the prowlers are snow leopards. There are others, but I will instruct you in them later, when we have the time. Before Naruto could respond, his reflexes cut in and he leapt sideways, barely avoiding Gaara's attack. Ah yes, the fight. Kriguri grinned. Let us fight this one together, my summoner. Naruto grinned and sprinted forwards, slashing at the sandarm that lashed out at him, then he rolled sideways, pulling out a kunai with a tag wrapped around the handle. As Gaara blocked Kriguri's downward slash with his tail, Naruto found himself in the perfect position to launch his attack. Konoha Hidden Village Technique, 1000 Years of Pain Kagetora Style. Gaara froze, a disbelieving expression on his face, then the explosion launched him headfirst into a tree. Kriguri stared for a moment, then burst out laughing. Kid, that was incredible. What a move, I'll have to remember it. What's going on? How's he doing that? Sasuke's semi-panicked question caused both Kriguri and Naruto to turn and look at the fallen Jinchuriki. Although Gaara wasn't moving, his sand was a different matter, drawing itself in around Gaara and forming a new shape. That doesn't look good. No, I think we may have accidentally allowed the Ichibi to take control. Kriguri mused. The seal must be absolutely useless for it to happen this fast, though. Naruto nodded as he stared up at the rapidly forming giant beast. You know, I can't help thinking that the toad contract would have been a good thing for you to have had as well as the great cat contract. Kriguri mused as the sand beast unleashed a burst of raucous laughter. Having Gamabunta here would have been very useful. Only a legendary summons or a Jinchuriki has a chance at fighting a Biju. Kit, Kyubi whispered in Naruto's mind, tell him. Kriguri, I am a Jinchuriki. I hold the Kyubi no Kitsune. He told me to tell you. Kriguri turned to look at him thoughtfully. The Kyubi? Then we may have a chance. Kurama, will you work with me on this? Tell him yes, Kit. I think I know what he's going to do. Just relax and let him handle the actual technique. I'll provide the power and you're the one that'll hold it together. He says yes. Naruto said as the monster looked down at them. Kriguri nodded and in a flowing move, nicked his own arm in Naruto's, then grabbed the boy and placed his bleeding wound against Naruto's. Ultimate Great Cat Jinchuriki Cooperation Warrior Technique, Lord of Battle. He roared and the world seemed to vanish. Naruto was confused, he felt wrong, but right at the same time. His body was clad in armor and was moving to a will that wasn't his, power was flowing through him, and he could feel both the will and the power drifting away. Almost instinctively he reached out and pulled them closer to him, and as he did so, the power and the will increased. He let the world fade away from his awareness as he held on to the will and the power, bringing them closer as they flowed through him. Sasuke couldn't move. It wasn't pain that held him immobile, although he was indeed injured. It wasn't fear, although he'd never seen anything quite so terrifying in his life. The giant sand monster loomed above the trees, its tail lashing and causing huge amounts of damage, but Sasuke's awareness focused on the giant armed figure facing it, the giant cat-like warrior armed with a sword bigger than a tree and a giant shield, a warrior clad in plate armor inscribed with runic symbols he'd never even imagined and which radiated great power. Free at last! The sand monster screamed out. I'm going to destroy this fucking village and then destroy everything else. Thine vengeance shalt not be allowed. The armored figure rumbled, swinging its sword with the sound of a dozen hurricanes. Thou shalt be thwarted in thine schemes, Shikaku of the One Tail, and returned once more into thine container. Never! Shikaku roared, I will never lose. Do your worst, I can take it and give it back doubled. As thou hath chosen, so shalt it be. Came the reply, and the giant moved to attack, sword flicking out with a speed and power that no blade that size should be able to withstand, while the giant's rectangular shield, braced firmly, withstood the slashing attacks of the sand monster without a scratch. Naruto! Hinata shouted, dropping the girl she was carrying as she stared up at the giant, and Sasuke blinked. Naruto? He gasped as the giant stumbled back a step before counterattacking. What the hell are you talking about? Thine weakness is obvious, Shikaku. The giant rumbled. Once thine Jinchuriki awakens, thou shalt be sealed once more. Hinata sprinted towards the giant and leapt onto his tail. The giant glanced down at the sudden, albeit minuscule impact. I can see Gaara on that thing's head. Hinata shouted. Get me to him and I can wake him up. The giant nodded slightly, then plunged his sword straight through Shikaku, releasing the handle to punch his fist into the beast. Hinata braced herself as the tail whipped up, then she leapt, using the momentum gained to land just beside the sleeping form of Gaara. Pausing only long enough to regain her balance, she drew her hand back slap. Gaara's eyes flew open. Noo! As the Shikaku vanished into a pile of sand, the giant caught the falling forms of Hinata and Gaara and lowered them gently to the ground. And thus is the task completed, the Ichibi hath been defeated. The summoner doth require healing sleep. Keep him safe, Moonlight Princess. Hinata looked up as the giant glowed brightly before evaporating into golden sparkles, leaving only the form of Naruto lying on the ground. How? Why? What? Hinata responded almost absently as she knelt beside Naruto, checking his vital signs. How did he defeat me? How did he manage to fight like that? Gaara whispered. He fought like that because he was protecting people he cared about. Hinata said quietly, gazing down at the boy she loved. He pushes himself to his limits to become stronger in mind, heart and soul, so that he can protect everyone around him. And it is protecting others that grants him the strength he needs. Gaara pulled himself up into a sitting position, his face filled with conflicting emotions. He beat me because he protects others? Hinata nodded, settling Naruto's head into her lap. He cares for others, and those he truly cares about return that feeling. You have those who care about you, if you let them, Gaara. Your sister was crying your name as she saw you fighting. But Temari never cries. Gaara said slowly. Gaara looked across at where Temari was lying, her one open eye staring at him. Gaara, you're still alive, thanked Kami, wincing at the pain. Gaara pulled himself to his feet and stumbled over to Temari. Sitting down next to her, he looked over at Hinata for a moment, then moved Temari so that her head was in his lap, looking up at him. Gaara? Gaara looked down at her. I think I understand now, Temari. I understand what you were trying to say to me for all those years. I get it now. Get some rest, sister, I will protect you. Temari smiled weakly and her eyes closed. Wow, guys. Kiba said, emerging from the devastation at the edge of the now enlarged clearing. You really don't do things small, do you? Damn. Kankuro said as he looked round, reaching up to stroke Akamaru, who was, for some reason, perched on his head. I thought Gaara could do damage, but this? Now you know why I don't go after Hinata, despite how hot she is. Kiba said. No way am I getting her fiancé angry at me, he's scarier than Hinata when you take the last cinnamon roll. Kiba! Hinata laughingly protested. From the shadows, a silver-haired figure watched them before fading away, a scowl on his face. Chapter 31, Aftermath. Sarutobi glared at the council, reflecting once again that he was definitely getting too old for his job. And we can confirm that Orochimaru ambushed the Kazekage on his way to Konoha and killed him, taking his place. Baki said from where he was standing at the foot of the table. I was on the team that discovered his body and those of his retainers. Until such time as Suna appoints a new Kazekage, the Suna Council will be in charge. They have appointed me as ambassador with plenipotentiary powers to provide a full, formal apology to Konoha as well as seeking a new treaty. Before the counselors could start to work themselves up, Hiruzen held his hand up. Thank you, Ambassador Baki. Is there anything else you would like to add? Baki looked round. Yes. The 3 children of our former Kazekage. I am fully aware that they are safe at the Kagetora clan home at the moment, and I wish to extend my thanks to Uzumaki Anoka for modifying the seal on Gaara, solving most of the problems he was having. She assures me that the only way the Ichibi can be released is if Gaara willingly releases it. When you return to Suna, they will return with you. Hiruzen said, ignoring the glares from the council members, convinced that the 3 should be kept as hostages. Baki bowed. Thank you. At the moment, Gaara is helping to look after Kagetora Naruto. He is quite insistent that no harm comes to him. I think he holds Naruto responsible for the solving of his problems and his new, and quite frankly less terrifying, outlook on life. If that is all, Lord Hokage? It is. Treaty negotiations will begin tomorrow afternoon. You may wish to get some rest and check on your charges. Baki nodded and left the chamber. Before the council could start making demands, Sarutobi started to speak. The recent events have proven that I am getting too old for this job. I have spoken to Jiraiya and he has declared that if he becomes Hokage, he will undoubtedly mess things up. As such, I have tasked him with finding my choice of replacement, Senju Tsunade. Several counselors instantly spoke up. But she left Konoha, why should she return? Doesn't she owe a fortune in gambling debts? It'll be good having one of the Sannin taking over, and not Orochimaru. With her returning, does that mean that the Senju clan will be resurrected too? Silence. Sarutobi thundered. The council instantly shut up and Sarutobi continued to speak. I have sent Jiraiya and a Chunin versed in diplomacy and etiquette to find Tsunade. For security and to increase their speed, 6 of the great tigers have gone with them. Speaking of Chunin, Hayashi observed almost dispassionately, what were the results of the exams? While the exams were indeed cut short, I saw enough during the exams and afterwards to decide the best genin to promote. I am only promoting 2 genin this year, both of whom showed incredible skill both in the exams and in the recent battle against Orochimaru. Hyuga Hinata and Kagetora Naruto are hereby both promoted to Chunin. Furthermore, after reviewing the information she offered after discovering what Orochimaru had done to her teammates, I am provisionally recruiting Tsuchi-kin, formerly of Otogakure, as a genin recruit of Konohagakure and assigning her to replace Hyuga Hinata as a member of Team 8. Sarutobi glared at the council. If anyone disapproves, they can damned well wait until Tsunade arrives. May I inform my daughter as to her promotion? Hayashi asked and Sarutobi shook his head. Sorry, I've already done so. I needed to, as I've sent her on a mission. Hayashi started to nod, then he froze, his eyes wide with horror. You sent my daughter on a mission with that pervert Jiraiya? I brought you some food. Temari said and Gaara looked up from where he was sitting by Naruto's bed, reading from a scroll. Thank you, Nisan. He said quietly as she placed the tray on the small table beside him. No change, huh? No. Gaara said. I promised Hinata-sama that I would look after him for her. It seemed appropriate. Temari looked down at the sleeping blonde and smiled slightly. How's the new seal holding? Anoka-san does excellent work. Gaara said with a slight smile which would have gone unnoticed by any who didn't know him well. Shikaku's voice is gone, unless I will it. He seems calmer too, for some reason. And my control over my sand has improved. And you can sleep. Temari said, pulling up a chair and sitting down. You're a what? Gaara looked at the doorway in confusion as Kankuro's disbelieving yell echoed through. Temari facepalmed. I think that our darling brother has just met Haku, she said wryly. To be fair, Haku really does look like a girl and Kankuro started to flirt. Gaara smirked. I wonder if this'll teach him a lesson? Nope. Temari said. He's met up with Inuzuka Kiba, the two of them are so damned alike when it comes to trying to chase anything that's female. Konoha has a Kankuro of its own? Gaara asked and Temari nodded. Except that he uses a dog instead of a puppet, pretty much. That is disturbing, Gaara declared after several moments' thought. Almost as disturbing as that sunset genjutsu. Nothing is as disturbing as that. Temari shuddered. Men shouldn't hug that way. For a few moments, a comfortable silence descended, then Gaara spoke. I wonder how Hinata-sama is doing. You know, Jiraiya said almost meditatively, I could really get used to this. Hinata glanced over at him from her perch on Kyuka's back, her expression questioning. Riding like this? Jiraiya explained. Toads are almost as fast, but they take giant leaps rather than running like this, and they're impossible to miss. Tigers, though poetry in motion. I'm glad you're enjoying this, Hinata said, and Jiraiya smiled at her. Wonderful scenery, beautiful company, and don't worry. Until you get a bit older, you don't need to worry about me acting perverted around you. I may be a pervert, but I do have standards. How can a pervert have standards? Hinata asked despite herself. Jiraiya laughed. Oh, it's simple. Don't corrupt the innocent girls, their innocence is to be cherished. Never take advantage of a woman in her moment of weakness, the final decision must always be hers. Never avoid the blows of a single woman, but always flee the group. Things like that. I only really perv on those who appreciate it, or those who are willing and able to defend themselves. Anything else is just wrong. That's actually quite profound, Hinata admitted after a few moments' thought. I don't know whether that's impressive or just plain wrong. That's the difference between a pervert and a super pervert. Jiraiya grinned. Besides, I need to get my research for my books somewhere. Yes, they're surprisingly quite good, Hinata said absently, then she blushed and clapped a hand over her mouth as Jiraiya roared with gleeful laughter. Oh, Kami must love me. Jiraiya chortled. You're a fan? I'll be happy to sign your books, no charge at all. Is Naruto a fan too? And how did you get into my books? I know your father's a great fan, but I didn't expect you to be. My father's a fan of Aika Aika? Hinata gasped and Jiraiya nodded. Yep, signed first print hardback editions and everything. He keeps them in a special box that the Byakugan can't penetrate, key to his chakra signature. Now, how about an answer? Anko-sensei introduced me to them to help me get over my shyness, Hinata admitted. I've been introducing Naruto to them, but he's still really clueless about things like that. He read right through Aika Aika Traveler, and he still constantly blushes whenever we bathe together. Keeps trying to look away as well. I have to grab him to get him to actually look at me. Wow, Jiraiya said. That really is something. But you two are happy together? Hinata blushed again and Jiraiya smiled gently. I see that you are. Good to know that the Gaki has someone as beautiful as you caring about him. Hinata's blush deepened. So, where are we headed? She asked. Jiraiya smiled again at her attempt to change the subject. We're starting at Shakuba Town, he said. I have contacts there who should be able to tell us where we need to go next. In the meantime, I have a jutsu or two you may like to learn, although if you grow your hair a bit, they'll become easier to use. Sasuke? Sakura paused in her training kata, looking over at her dark-haired teammate. Are you all right? Sasuke stopped punching the training log and turned around. I couldn't win, he said. Gaara was too much for me, yet Naruto took him down easily. Naruto had help. Sakura protested. He had that summons and Hinata, she's the one who delivered the final blow. And Naruto hasn't recovered yet, he's still in his coma. He had helped Sasuke mused. I need to get stronger, but Naruto is already stronger than I am. How does he do it? Teamwork. Kakashi said, causing both genin to jump in shock as neither had seen him arrive. He trains with others so that they can tell him where his weaknesses are and how to overcome them. That helps him grow stronger. Of course, the fact that he learned from me and Madogai explains quite a bit. And then there's his Kekkai Genkai. Sasuke nodded slowly. He's fast. Even with my Sharingan, it's all I can do to keep track of him when he goes all out. I need to get faster too. Well thought out. Kakashi nodded. Your fighting style is all about intercepting incoming attacks, speed will help you a great deal. I would advise weights. You'll never reach Lee's level, he's trained too many years for you to catch up now, but with enough training, you may be able to last against him for more than a minute. Sasuke nodded. Thanks, sensei. I'll try that. And stop measuring yourself against Naruto. Kakashi added. He has advantages you'll never have, but he has major weaknesses too. Despite what you saw, he isn't invincible. Heck, he's almost defenseless against Genjutsu. Sasuke nodded again. I know he isn't invincible, I looked in on him yesterday. I hope that Tsunade gets here soon, she's supposed to be the best medic Konoha's produced. If anyone can help the Dobe, she can. After all, he said he'd help me when I confront my brother. Everyone stared at him. What? You actually accepted someone else's help willingly? Sakura asked and Sasuke snorted. Come on. He was trained by both Kakashi-sensei and Madogai, taijutsu expert, plus Anko-sensei has boosted his stealth skills to an absolutely insane degree. He persuaded Zabuza-sensei to teach me how to use my sword, integrating my taijutsu, kenjutsu and ninjutsu into a single fighting style. I'd have to be a complete and utter moron to turn down help from someone like that. I still have what he calls pride issues, but he's whacked me down so many times whenever we sparred that I've actually got a handle on how good I am, and I'm nowhere near good enough yet. If I had known earlier about how you've matured, Hiruzen said from beside Kakashi, causing the two genin to leap in shock again, then I would probably have promoted you as well. As it is, I'll mark you as a probable for the next exam you participate in. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Sasuke said, bowing slightly. Are you sure you don't want to check into an inn? Jiraiya asked as Hinata finished pitching the two-man tent. She gave him a smile and untied the packs that one of the other tigers had been carrying for her. Jiraiya-sama, she said, how many inns would accept the great tigers as their guests? If you wish to sleep in an inn, the town is literally over the rise, but I am staying with my friends. Besides, how can I be any safer in an inn without them as compared to sleeping in a tent surrounded by a dozen great tigers? Jiraiya nodded slowly. Well, I'll see you in the morning, he said as he started to walk off. Bring cinnamon rolls. Hinata shouted and Jiraiya waved acknowledgement. Hinata stroked Kyuka's head, then started to build a small campfire as several of the tigers vanished. That Toadman is very powerful, Kyuka noted from where she was sprawled by the tent. I find his actions quite interesting and he seems to have quite an honorable personality, although he hides it very well. He has his moments, Hinata admitted, although I think that we should never tell Naruto-kun that his parents unwittingly provided a great deal of material for his first Ika book. His expression when he realized what he had just said, though. Kyuka snorted and Hinata nodded, then turned to where the vanished tigers were returning with the results of their foraging. One of them walked over and placed 2 dead rabbits on the ground. Thank you, Hinata said with a smile, picking up the first rabbit and starting to skin it. Chapter 32, Persuasion. The scent of cinnamon rolls hung in the air and Hinata emerged from her tent like a cat leaping from ambush. Jiraiya laughed as Hinata grabbed one of the rolls and bit into it with a blissful expression. Wow, you really do like them. He joked, and Hinata paused in her devouring just long enough to glare at him. Rather than intimidating him, however, it only served to cause him to laugh harder before he managed to catch his breath and compose himself. "We need to pack up soon," he said. "My informant told me that Tsunade was spotted heading into Tanzaku quarters the day before yesterday. With your tigers, we'll probably make it before she decides to get going." Hinata nodded as she pulled out and rolled up the bedroll she'd been using, then quickly folded the tent. Turning round, she blinked at seeing Jiraiya finishing sealing everything else into a scroll. "What?" he asked. "It's easier than trying to put it all into a pack. Now pass over the tent." Hinata did so, and Jiraiya sealed it into the scroll, then rolled it up and passed it over. "There we go, all packed up. Let's move." "Still no change?" Hiruzen asked softly, and Gaara sighed. "He is still sleeping, he will not wake up. I do not know what to do." "You're doing a good job," Baki said. "How are you feeling?" "I am not sure," Gaara admitted. "The new seal is working. I was able to sleep last night. I do not remember the last time I slept. And Shikaku has grown quiet. He said that the seal no longer hurts. And that he can sleep also. I have been thinking about the past, and I have much to atone for. As does Suna," Baki said softly. "I took down Hayate and lied about it, for instance. Your father ordered a weak seal be used to ensure that you could use as much of Shikaku's power as possible. He didn't care about you as long as he got his weapon. Those of us who did care couldn't do anything about it." "I understand," Gaara said. "What Hinata told me, what Naruto did I understand. Do you think that Hinata will be able to bring Tsunade here?" Hiruzen chuckled. "Hinata will do anything for Naruto. It wouldn't surprise me if she decided to face down Tsunade and literally drag her back to heal him." "Lord Hokage, you work." "It's all right, Gaara," Hiruzen said quickly. "He's an ANBU, he's not here to hurt anyone." Gaara nodded, and the sand that had trapped the masked ninja against the wall retreated. "All right, what is it?" "Lord Hokage, there's a problem, you just had to sneeze," Kiba yelled as he sprinted down the street. "Hey, it's not my fault, I have allergies," Kankuro retorted, not even sparing a glance back to where his puppet was lying in pieces after being trampled. "Last time I show you the sights." "Get back here, you peeping perverts," screamed one of the pursuing kunoichi. Kiba and Kankuro glanced at each other, then accelerated. "Damn it, I wish I'd paid more attention to Naruto's training missions," Kiba panted. He found loads of good hiding places when training against ANBU. Before Kankuro could react, a kunai sliced through one of his hood's ears. "They're clad in towels," he protested. "How the hell did they pull out those swords and kunai?" Kiba blinked. "I don't think this is the time to worry about that. Come on, this way." "My brother is a moron," Gaara deadpanned. "When Temari finds out about this, he will be in trouble. Your sister is one of the ones in pursuit," the ANBU said, and Gaara closed his eyes. "Kankuro, you idiot." "Tsunade, so nice to see you here." Tsunade looked up from her sake, glaring at the familiar figure. "Orochimaru, what are you doing here?" "Oh, I had a little problem," Orochimaru said, holding up his shortened right arm. "I got stabbed with a very strange chakra blade, and it's becoming a bit of an issue." Tsunade stared at the proffered limb. "What the I? I just need you to stop the effect of whatever chakra was used," Orochimaru said. "My two best medical ninjas can't do more than slow it down, and that's with hourly treatments. Don't worry about repairing, I got a scroll of puppet jutsus from Suna and I'm looking forwards to experimenting with puppet limbs. In order to use it, though, I need my arms stabilized. Despite your drinking and gambling, you are still the greatest Megnin in all the elemental nations." Tsunade slowly reached out and scanned the stump. After a moment, she blinked. That's Bijou chakra. Last time I saw something like that was the Kyuubi. Bijou chakra, Orochimaru mused. So, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki has learned to use the monster within. What were you doing there, Anyi? Tsunade asked, and Orochimaru shrugged. I was just trying to contact our old teacher, but the Kyuubi brat attacked without warning. The old man was seriously injured in the attack, not mortally, but quite badly. I hear the council is going to promote Jiraiya to be the new Hokage. That pervert as Hokage? Tsunade scoffed. They've had dumb ideas in the past, but this one? Orochimaru smirked. Indeed. So, is there anything I can offer you to persuade you to help me with my medical condition? Tsunade looked at him, then shook her head. There is nothing anyone can give me anymore. Not even Dan and Nawaki? Orochimaru almost purred. I know a technique that can bring them back. Tsunade froze, not even breathing, and Orochimaru stood up. I'll give you until the end of the week to think about it, Tsunade. Tsunade. Here you are. Tsunade looked up to see that Orochimaru had vanished. Looking round, she met the irritated glare of her assistant. What is it, Shizune? Shizune sighed and sat down next to her. You really need to stop running off like that, milady. Yes, Shizune. Tsunade sighed as she prepared herself for the inevitable scolding. Hinata looked round, her Byakugan active as she scanned the heaving crowds. Gah, this is impossible. Jiraiya fumed. She could be anywhere. Remind me of the description. Hinata said slowly. Blonde hair, diamond tattoo in the middle of the forehead, green jacket, has a dark-haired assistant and pet pig, is that right? Yes. Jiraiya said slowly, looking at her, why? Hinata smiled and changed course. Jiraiya looked to where she was headed and smiled. I think you're still a bit young for sake, but yes, a refreshing drink would be very Tsunade? The blonde at one of the tables looked up in shock, then her face creased in a frown. Jiraiya, what are you doing here? Getting a drink. Bottle of your finest sake, please. Jiraiya retorted, placing a bundle of Ryu on the bar. Watered fruit juice for me, please. Hinata requested. A Hyuga. Tsunade noted as Hinata bowed slightly to her. And a main house member as well. You have an interesting taste in girlfriends, Jiraiya, but isn't she a bit younger than usual for you? She's already spoken for. Jiraiya said, ignoring Hinata's blush and death glare aimed at Tsunade, who was smirking. Cute little thing, isn't she? And she's generating quite a bit of killing intent, nowhere near enough to bother me, but enough to be noticed. Cut it out, girl. I've been glared at by people far scarier than you. Enough, Hinata. Jiraiya said, passing her the cup of fruit juice and scooping up the bottle and saucer. Walking over to the table, he slid into the seat opposite Tsunade, and Hinata sat down next to him, nodding at Shizune. So, why are you here? Tsunade asked, glaring at Jiraiya, who smiled at her and filled her saucer with sake. The old man sent me. He wants you back, Tsunade. I heard he'd been injured. Jiraiya cocked an eyebrow. Not quite. Orochimaru launched an attack, but it got beaten off. He managed to temporarily resurrect the first, second and fourth Hokages, but was interrupted before he could complete the ritual and use them as his slaves to kill the old man. Interrupted by the Kyuubi brat. Tsunade realized and Jiraiya nodded. Kid managed to take down an anchored barrier, one with 4 anchor points and casters, then he used his clones to weaken Snake Team before heading off to defeat the Ichibi, using a fusion technique with a summons I've never seen before. Jiraiya said. But it cost him, he's in a coma. Tsunade glanced across at Hinata and Jiraiya nodded. Yep, she's his girlfriend and fiancé. And you accompanied him because? I have my own mission. Hinata said quietly. To bring you to Konoha to heal my fiancé. And why should I return? Tsunade growled. The old man wants you to take the hat, Jiraiya stated, and Shizune gasped. Forget it, Tsunade snapped, rising from her seat. Shizune, we're leaving. Hinata moved to stand in front of Tsunade as the older woman rose. Tsunade looked down at her as she dropped into the Jukin stance and activated her Byakugan. What, you think you can stop me? Tsunade asked, obviously amused, and Hinata's expression darkened. Do you know who I am? Yes, I do, Hinata stated, refusing to back down. You are a once great medical ninja who is now a worthless drunk and loser, constantly betraying the memory of those who expected better of you. Tsunade's expression froze, then she snarled. Who do you think you are, you little bitch? How dare you say that? Who am I? Hinata repeated, her anger overpowering her screaming self-preservation instincts. I am Hyuga Hinata, former clan heir of the Hyuga clan who handed the position to another for love. To the great tigers, I am known as Precious Flower with Eyes of the Moon, the bond partner of flower blossoming in the dawn. I am the one who ended the rampage of the Jinchuriki of the Ichibi and the one who can face down the strongest man in Konoha. I am the Moonlight Princess of the Kagetora clan and the student of both the Snake Mistress and the Genjutsu Mistress of Konoha. I am a Kunoichi. I am a shinobi. I know what my duty is and I uphold my responsibilities without fear or hesitation, and that means that I am greater by far than what you have become. Who am I, you ask? I am the one who will drag you to Konoha to heal my beloved, whether you want to go or not. That is who I am, that is what I will do. Tsunade stared at her, then glanced over to Jiraiya, who gave a single nod of confirmation. Her beloved is the one who took Orochimaru's hand, Jiraiya said. He's the Yondame's son, or he was until the council stripped him of his heritage. And that is what you want me to become the Hokage of? Tsunade said quietly but firmly. A village that betrays its leader as soon as he dies? No, Jiraiya said. A village that has learned from its mistakes and is trying to reform. Naruto doesn't want to reclaim his father's name, or his mother's, anymore. He's made his own, built the core of a new clan. Heck, he's even found a full-blood Uzumaki to rebuild the Uzumaki clan and recovered a bunch of Senju techniques from the ruins of Uzushiogakure, techniques which are being held for you. And right now, Tsunade, as Hinata told you, he needs your help. So, even if I don't accept the Hokage position, you'll drag me to Konoha anyway. Tsunade noted, looking at the Chunin who was glaring at her. And if I become Hokage, I'll have to put up with the scheming council who've turned the position into a figurehead. The council has been pruned and the advisor's power reduced, Jiraiya said. Sarutobi will be there to aid you however you wish, should you accept. Tell me about the other genin of your generation, Tsunade said, sitting down again. Are they all as determined as you? Jiraiya leaned back in his seat, relaxing, and Hinata slowly lowered her hands, deactivating her Byakugan. A moment later she collapsed, only Shizune's reflexes preventing her from crashing into the table. Tsunade leapt out of her seat and started a diagnostic jutsu on the now prone girl. What happened? Jiraiya asked, kneeling beside her, a worried expression on his face. Tsunade stopped her scan, stared at Hinata, then a disbelieving chuckle rose despite her best efforts. A moment later, she was almost collapsed against Jiraiya, shaking with laughter. What happened? She'll be fine, Tsunade giggled. She just fainted. Probably realized that she just glared down one of the Sannin. Jiraiya noted with a grin, helping Tsunade back to her feet, then crouching down to scoop up Hinata. Looking round, Jiraiya sighed and nodded meaningfully at the table. Tsunade moved it out of the way and Jiraiya gently laid Hinata down on the padded bench. I like her. Tsunade grinned as Shizune slipped past her and began her own diagnostic jutsu. Girl's got guts. She's out cold, Jiraiya pointed out, and Tsunade shrugged. So? She's got real guts to stand up to me and threaten me like that. collapsing afterwards, perfectly understandable, and it doesn't reduce the respect I have for her. If the old man wants me back, I'll come, but I have some business to take care of first. I have a liar to take care of. A liar? Jiraiya asked, can we help? You know, Tsunade mused, I think you just may be able to tell me about her skills. And what was that she was saying about cats? Hinata slowly opened her eyes and gazed blankly at the canvas roof. Was it a dream? Nope. A cheerful voice said, and Hinata's gaze snapped across to see Shizune sat beside her, pet pig in lap. It was real. You glared down Tsunade and impressed her enough to get her to think again. Hinata blushed, earning another laugh. None of that, now let me just check you over. Shizune stretched out a hand and passed it over Hinata. Yep, all good to go. Jiraiya and Tsunade are waiting outside. Hinata scrambled out of the tent and stood up, looking round in amused shock. In front of her, Jiraiya was finishing giving instructions to a toad who nodded and vanished into a cloud of smoke while Tsunade was snoring softly as she lay along the spine of one of the largest tigers in the party. Welcome back. Jiraiya said with a smile. I knew it was a good idea to bring you along. And not just for your friends. Kyuka let out a protesting rumble and Jiraiya laughed again. You missed lunch, but I saved some for you. Eat up and we can talk tactics when Tsunade wakes up. She's with the tigers getting some, what did the Gaki call it? Ah yes. Some much-needed fuzzy therapy. Shizune chuckled. Chapter 33, Confrontation. So. Orochimaru said slowly, holding up his stump, showing that his arm now ended at the elbow. Have you decided yet, Tsunade? Tsunade glared at Orochimaru, then looked at the silver-haired man and the red-haired woman flanking him. The silver-haired man smirked. I think that she's decided against helping, sir. I see. Orochimaru said. It's a good thing I learned how to fight left-handed. I may be reduced in power, but even with my handicap, me and my 2 apprentices against one washed-out bitch of a Sannin? I don't think this fight will last very long. As if in response to Orochimaru's comment, a massive massed roar shook the air and a dozen white shapes raced up the hill towards them, coming to a stop beside Tsunade and unleashing a cacophony of snarls and roars. Jiraiya, Shizune and Hinata dropped down from the tigers and Orochimaru raised one eyebrow. So, the Slug Princess called for help, and from the Toad Sage no it's been a long time, Jiraiya. Orochimaru. Jiraiya said curtly. Who are your lackeys? I don't know the redhead, but the man's called Kabuto. Hinata stated. He was a genin during the Chunin exams, but I think it must have been a trick. Oh, my, yes. Kabuto said with a smile as he adjusted his glasses. I'm far more than a genin. Nowhere near my master's level, of course, but definitely above yours. Hinata. Jiraiya said, we're likely to be using summons, so we'll need some space. I don't know anything about the redhead's skills, but from how they stand, they've probably got some Mednin training, making them very dangerous. I know. Hinata said, her hands flashing through a series of seals. That's why I'm doing this. Secret technique Tiger Warrior. Orochimaru's eyes widened as the smoke cleared to reveal Hinata had transformed into a 2-meter-tall bipedal tiger. That is a very interesting technique. He said slowly. I tried to come up with something similar, but I could never get it to work right, it tended to kill the subjects. I think we need to take you alive. Kabuto? Yes, Lord Orochimaru. Kabuto said as he started to circle round. Hinata started to stalk towards him, followed by Kyuka and 2 of the other tigers. Shizune can die for all I care. Orochimaru said with a shrug. Karen? As you wish, Lord Orochimaru. The redhead replied and Shizune growled, then found herself flanked by 2 of the great tigers with a third one behind her. One of them winked at her, then returned its attention to the approaching woman. And now that the children are out of the way, Orochimaru grinned as he pulled out a kunai and cut his right arm, smearing the blood over a tattoo on his left arm, Kuchios no Jutsu. Ignoring the battle between the Sannin, Hinata stalked towards Kabuto, then paused. Chakra scalpels. She noted, and Kabuto frowned for a second, then his eyes met hers. How wonderful, you have the full Byakugan even in that form. He noted cheerfully. Well, this certainly complicates things somewhat for me. I know how to bypass the Byakugan, but your new form means that I'm no longer certain exactly where your internal organs are. This will be quite a fight. Hinata growled and flexed her fingers, extending her claws. Lowering her stance, she flowed forwards a few paces, then grabbed her dagger and threw it at Kabuto, who dodged it nonchalantly. That was almost disappointing, he said, then his eyes widened as the dagger reappeared in Hinata's hand, quickly glancing back at where the dagger had landed, and now no longer was. But that is very interesting indeed. As he finished his sentence, he leapt forwards, chakra needles extending from his fingers, and Hinata reacted with a fast sequence of hand seals. Tiger, horse, boar, ram, rat, snake. Kabuto's eyes widened in pain and he leapt back, leaving a trail of blood. Hinata's fur reverted from its sudden transformation into steel-strong needles, and Kabuto looked down at his hands, noting the rips and holes in them which were healing. I guess that means that close-in fighting has suddenly become a great deal harder against you, he noted almost conversationally. Hinata grinned almost ferally, her fangs glinting, then she lifted her arm, revealing that not all the fur had reverted. Needle hell. Kabuto somersaulted out of the way of the sudden barrage of Senbon-like hair. Offensive and defensive capabilities from the same basic jutsu, he mused. This fight is getting harder and harder. But if I can't get at you that easily, Kabuto lunged at Kyuka, who snarled as she used a version of Needle Jizo that Hinata was certain she hadn't taught her. With a curse, Kabuto retreated to a safe distance, nursing his re-injured hand. This is getting mildly annoying, he muttered, pulling out some Senbon. Throwing them at Kyuka, he blinked as they bounced off her fur. What? How did? Hinata glanced at Kyuka for an explanation. Needle Jizu variant. Not very difficult, but needs concentration. I'll teach you later. Oh, this is just getting ridiculous. Kabuto sighed. I'd almost rather face a Jinchuriki. Done that. Defeated him with a single attack. Hinata smirked and Kabuto sighed. Of course you have. Just once, I would like an easy opponent. Those cats of yours have a lot of chakra, Karen noted as she strode towards Shizune. How well can you fight with them? First time. Shizune shrugged. I have no idea what they can do, so I think I'll concentrate on healing them while they take you down. Karen stopped in her tracks. What? Black eyes met red for a moment and Shizune smiled. I'd only slow them down, Shizune explained, then she frowned as one of the tigers unleashed a barrage of growls and coughs. What was that about? Karen asked. Hinata leapt away from Kabuto as she heard the message. Spinning round, she cupped both hands around her mouth and prepared to shout. Shizune! She's an Uzumaki! Both Shizune and Karen turned to stare at the fight between Kabuto and Hinata, then Shizune turned back. An Uzumaki? Are you sure? The tiger nodded and Karen frowned. So what's so great about that? The clan is being rebuilt in Konoha, Shizune said slowly. New plan, take her alive and as undamaged as possible. I feel sure that this Anoka that Hinata told me about will want to meet her. Anoka? Karen gasped. She's alive? Clan head in Konoha, according to Hinata, Shizune said. Why? Anoka-Nizan's alive? Karen whispered, her eyes filling with tears. She's alive? I thought she was dead. It's been so long, tell me about her. I only know a little bit, from Hinata. Hinata's one of Anoka's friends, she can tell you, Shizune said and Karen nodded. If it means I get to see Kitsune again, I surrender. Karen said, sitting down. One of the tigers walked up to her and thrust its head under her hand, causing Karen to giggle as she started to stroke the tiger. I recognize the tiger, my mother told me stories, Karen mused. Are the one in Kami's name where they call the Gakutora clan allied to Konoha as well? I don't know. Shizune admitted as she sat down and leaned back against the tiger that had curled up behind her. You'll have to ask Hinata. Kitsune alive, Karen whispered, smiling through her tears. The flames died down to reveal that Manda had shed his burning skin. Jiraiya looked round in confusion. Manda's as big as Gamabunta, but there's nowhere to hide except oh hell. Bunta, jump. Gamabunta leapt up into the air as Manda erupted out of the ground beneath him, jaws slamming shut in a bite that would have disemboweled the Toad Boss had Jiraiya not realized what was happening. However, the impact was enough to cause him to drop his sword. Oh, this isn't good. As Gamabunta landed, Manda drew back in preparation for another strike when Tsunade, who had launched herself into the air and grabbed the falling sword, swung it in the air and, using her enhanced strength, hurled it like an oversized spear. It flew true. Kabuto cursed as one of the tigers lunged between him and Hinata, deflecting his sunban yet again. No amount of poison in the world would help if he couldn't get it past that defense, and the cats had shown a surprisingly sadistic side, allowing him to get close and attack before using the needle Jizo technique to counter his attack. He was impressed. Extremely irritated, but still impressed. The ground shook and he backed away from his adversaries, glancing over to see Orochimaru's snake summons Manda pinned to the ground by a giant sword stabbed vertically through its mouth before the boss summon dispelled. Kabuto, Karen, we are leaving. Orochimaru shouted and Kabuto shooshined to his master's side, glancing over to where Karen was meant to be fighting. She was on the floor with one of the tigers pinning her with its head. Kabuto could see her trying to push it off, but she wasn't succeeding. My lord, I think we've lost Karen. Damn it. Orochimaru cursed as they started to vanish into the shadow of the rock. You've won this time, but I'll destroy Konoha yet. He's gone. Karen said, looking round. I can't sense his chakra anywhere nearby. Can you let me up now? With a stuttering purr that sounded suspiciously like a chuckle, the tiger lifted its head from her belly. As she pulled herself up, the tiger quickly licked her face. Hey! I think they like you. Hinata said, walking over. Karen looked at her oddly. Are you a Gakutora? You were using their technique earlier. Hinata smiled. It's a long story. I'll tell you on the way back. First of all, we need to get Tsunade's things. He sounds like a very nice boy. Karen said as she stroked the neck of the tiger she was perched on. I can't wait to meet him, you really are lucky. I know. Hinata said, glancing back to where Jiraiya and Tsunade were arguing while Shizune rode behind them, an almost blissful expression on her face as she lay along the shoulders and neck of the tiger carrying her. It's because of him that I met Kyuka and learned some of the techniques I used against Kabuto. Those were some serious techniques. Karen nodded. I caught a few glimpses of the fight. I've never seen Kabuto look that annoyed before. Did he manage to make a single successful attack? Nope. Hinata grinned. The great tigers apparently picked up the needle Jizo attack that Jiraiya-san taught me, and improved on it. As long as they concentrate, they're effectively immune to anything other than impact weapons, and they're naturally tough. Kunai bounce off them, katanas fail to penetrate, it would take a Tetsubo to actually hurt them. Karen nodded. The must have caused him to freak out. He's normally excellent at deducing people's weaknesses, but I don't think he's had any experience with giant cats before. Karen nodded, then looked round. And you go on a mission with a young girl? Tsunade shouted from behind them. Who knows how perverted you were going to make her? Next thing you know, she'll be reading those orange books of yours. Whoa! Karen exclaimed, looking backwards. You write the Aika Aika series? Will you sign mine? Tsunade looked horrified as Karen pulled out a small scroll and unsealed several books. He'll do anything for his fans. Hinata said. He's already signed mine. Tsunade went white while Karen looked across at her, confused. I didn't think you were the sort to read Aika Aika. A friend of my sensei started me on it as a way to build up my ability to cope with situations that would normally cause me to faint. Hinata shrugged. It worked, and now I can tease my boyfriend without passing out. Besides, the plotlines are actually quite good. This has to be a nightmare. Tsunade moaned. Stuck with a pervert and two of his fans. Hinata, you've just lost the respect I had for you. Chapter 34, Recovery. Anoka looked up from finishing her packing as Hinata walked in, followed by a tall, busted blonde and a younger woman who had black hair, and was carrying a pig, of all things. It was the fourth to enter who riveted her attention, however, and she dropped the scroll she was holding onto the floor in shock. Karane-chan? Ano-kanizan. Anoka didn't even remember moving. 1 second, she was standing by the table. The next, she had somehow crossed the room and was hugging her long-lost relative and best friend as the world around them vanished in a blurring of tears. I thought you were dead, Karen choked out as they held on to each other. I thought you were too. Anoka admitted tearfully. Until Naruto found me, I thought I was truly the last. And now Hinata's brought you to me. The scratching of a pencil on paper caused them both to look round, their gaze settling on a tall, white-haired figure familiar to both of them. No, please, don't stop. Jiraiya grinned as he scribbled notes down. This is pure gold, the reunion of two long-lost cousins of unearthly beauty who wrap their arms around each other's shit. Anoka's chakra chains lanced through the space that Jiraiya had just vacated, and Anoka snarled as she took off after the fleeing man. Get back here, you pervert, and take your punishment like a man. Karen started to laugh. Ano-kanizan, here's your cup of excuse me. Where did Ano-kanizan go? Karen looked round and blinked at the young Hyuga looking up at her. For a moment, her mind was blank, then several things came together. Gomen, are you clan friend Hyuga Hanabi? Hyuga Hinata's younger sister? I am. Hanabi said slowly. May I know your name? Uzumaki Karen, Anoka's cousin. Karen smiled at the dark-haired girl. It's an honor to meet you. I said get back here, pervert. Ultimate technique, run like a little bitch, no jutsu. Hanabi and Karen glanced at the entrance from where the shouting had come from and Hanabi's side. Era Senin's back. Karen collapsed with laughter. Tsunade smirked as proof that Jiraiya had got himself into trouble yet again echoed up, then she returned her attention to running the diagnostic jutsu over Naruto, Hinata staring hopefully at her while Gaara stood quietly in the corner, a watchful, protective presence. After a moment, she nodded. He's taken quite a bit of damage, but it's healing. Whatever technique caused this, I'd advise him never doing it again. He may not be as lucky next time. How bad is it? Hinata asked, taking hold of Naruto's hand as Tsunade smiled. It'll probably take him a few weeks to fully recover once I wake him. He isn't to do any exercise for the next few days, or try to use chakra. I'd say 3 days bed rest, then another 3 on light duties, no sparring. But you can wake him. Hinata smiled. What is it which keeps him asleep? Gaara asked and Tsunade sighed. Whatever caused his physical trauma knocked him out, but the technique set up a small chakra feedback eddy in his mind. Nothing dangerous in the short term, it just prevents him waking up. I'll smooth the chakra flow and he'll wake up. That is good. Gaara said. It is because of Naruto-senpai that I have recovered from my previous state as much as I have. Anoka-sama told me that the reason she was willing to help me so quickly despite my actions was because Naruto-senpai asked. I wish to express my gratitude. And so you shall. Tsunade said, closing her eyes and concentrating as she placed her green chakra-covered hands on Naruto's head. Now keep quiet, this is rather tricky. For several moments, the only movement in the room was a slight fluctuation in the intensity of the medical chakra surrounding Tsunade's hands, then she stepped back with a smile, glancing at Hinata. That should do it. Now, Hinata, how do you normally wake him? Gently, that is. Like this. Hinata smiled as she leant over the bed. Gently taking Naruto's face in her hands, she lowered her head and let her lips touch his. Hinata straightened up as Naruto's eyes flickered open and focused on her. Tenchi Haim, did we win? We did. Hinata grinned, lightly stroking his cheek. We did it. I don't want to have to fight Gaara again. Naruto sighed. Kami, he was tough. If I ever have to fight another Jinchuriki, it'll be too soon. I admit to having similar thoughts. Gaara said, causing Naruto to stiffen in shock. You defeated me once, I feel certain that you can do so again. But you showed me true strength comes from helping others and fighting alongside them. Your example has caused me to reevaluate much of what I believed and has given me my family back. I owe you a great deal, Naruto-san. If you ever need help, send me a message and I will come. Thanks? Hinata? Gaara's been helping to look after you. Hinata explained. I was elsewhere, finding someone who could bring you back to me. Senju Tsunade. Honored to meet you at last. Hinata's told me so much about you, and from the diagnostic jutsu I ran, I don't think she was exaggerating one bit. Hinata blushed furiously while Naruto and Gaara stared at Tsunade in confusion. So, why the packing? Karen asked as she sipped the tea she'd been given, noting almost in passing that it was one of the best cups of tea she'd ever had. Oh, the Uzumaki mansion was finally finished yesterday. Hanabi said as Anoka stalked back in, muttering about perverts and cowards. Anokanizan was going to move in today, I've been helping her seal her stuff ready. A mansion, huh? Karen asked. I'm impressed. It was the Namikaze mansion before it burned down. Anoka said, accepting the cup that Hanabi passed to her. I kind of inherited it and had it rebuilt using the reclaimed Uzumaki fortune. Will you join me there? Karen nodded, taking another sip. Of course, but I need to get some new clothes first. Actually, I need to get money first. Money is no problem at the moment. Anoka smiled. And I'm sure the room I'm vacating will be used before too long. Karen raised an eyebrow as Hanabi giggled into her tea. Meaning? Naruto collects strays and adopts them. Anoka smiled. He did it to me, Zabuza, Haku, it's the sort of person he is. I can feel his chakra. Karen noted. It feels calming. Warm. Nice. Anoka nodded. Anyway, I've already had most of my stuff moved across, so if you want to come with me after we finish our tea, I can get you settled in. Then we three can go shopping. Hanabi looked ecstatic at the implied invitation and Anoka grinned at her. Yes, Nei-chan, you can come too. It wouldn't be the same without you. Hanabi's grin widened and Anoka laughed. Go on, I promise I won't tell anyone in the Hyuga household. Thanks, Nei-san. Wahoo! Please? No. Hinata said firmly, her head resting on his shoulder. Tsunade-sama said you need at least 3 days bed rest, so that is what you are getting. You are only getting out of bed if you need the bathroom. But I don't like being in bed. Hinata looked up at Hin, her eyes wide and starting to fill with tears. You don't like being in bed with me, Naruto-kun? No, I mean it's not that Hinata managed to keep her amusement off her face as Naruto slumped back against his pillows. You win. Damn your puppy eyes no jutsu. He said. I'll be good. You mean you'll obey Tsunade's orders, Hinata purred as she snuggled closer him. She said you needed to stay in bed, she didn't say anything about being good. Wow, girl, you've really gotten your confidence up. Anko laughed from the doorway and Hinata seemed to Shenshin from curling against Naruto's side to standing by the bed so fast that even Lee would have been taken by surprise. Anko-sensei, she stuttered breathlessly. What are you doing here? Well, I heard that Tsunade had healed my favorite brat, so I came to see how he was doing. Anko grinned as she walked over. Pausing briefly, she hugged Naruto. How you feeling, Gaki? I've felt better, Anko-sensei. Naruto admitted, but it could easily have been far worse. How did Konoha do? We didn't do too badly. Anko said. We lost less than 24 ninja overall, more injured but most of them are healed now. The wall got breached, but it's being repaired and Anoka says that she can replace all the broken seals, although the council's a bit antsy about how much she's charging. Jiraiya offered to help for a share of the money, he's almost as good as Anoka. Several members of the council almost had a heart attack when he said she was a better Fuinjutsu specialist than he was. Speaking of which, she's moving out today. She said that once she's unpacked and settled in, along with her cousin, they'll come over. Cousin? Naruto asked, confused. What did I miss? On my mission, I encountered another Uzumaki. Hinata explained. Turns out Karen knew Anoka when they were young. Karen's a censor and a mednin, she's been tested as being high Chunin level. Naruto nodded. Okay. Anything else I've missed? Only that we've got a new Hokage. Anko shrugged. Tsunade is taking over from the old man, he's moving to the position of advisor. Oh yeah, congratulations on making Chunin, brat. I made Chunin? Naruto repeated, his face reflecting his astonishment as Hinata giggled. I made Chunin. Yes. Who else did? I bet you did, Hinata. I did. Hinata confirmed. I've been promoted out of Team 8, Tsuchi-kin has taken my place. Naruto frowned in thought. Aw, that's good. Wait, isn't she a sound nin? How does that work? 2 of her teammates were used as sacrifices for the Edo Tensei technique Orochimaru used. Anko aid. As soon as she discovered what had happened, she defected to us. Kiba's tried to hit on her at least 3 times already. Hinata giggled. So, promotions, new Hokage, replacement on Team 8 bedroom being freed up, anything else, or am I up to date? I think you're up to date. Anko shrugged. Guy's making a special meal for you, Tucci heard you'd recovered so he popped over to help, you're getting special ramen. Ramen? Naruto exulted. Special ramen made by the 2 best cooks in Konoha? Today is totally awesome. Anko laughed. Well, I've got to report in, so enjoy your bed rest, even though I don't think you'll be getting much rest. Anko vanished before Hinata could reach her. What did she mean by that? Naruto asked, and Hinata turned red. On behalf of the council, Hayashi said with a faint smile, welcome back, Tsunade-sama. It has been far too long since you last graced us with your presence. Thank you, Hayashi. Tsunade said. Sensei? Hiruzen looked round and felt a slight pang. This is going to be my last true day as Hokage, so I will make some announcements. First, the treaty between Konoha and Suna has been finalized and accepted by both parties. The Suna delegation will be leaving tomorrow. Now that we know the reason that Suna decided to side with Orochimaru, we can take action to help them, reaffirming our alliance. Secondly, the results of the Chunin exam stand. I know some of you are insistent that Uchiha Sasuke be promoted, but I do not believe he is quite ready yet. I have spoken to him about it and explained my reasons, and he has agreed. However, both he and I feel sure that with his current rate of improvement, he will become a fine addition to our Chunin at the next Chunin exam. I also know some of you are still doubtful about the promotions of Hyuga Hinata and Kagetora Naruto. Those promotions stand. Third, I am pleased to announce 2 new additions to our ranks. The Uzumaki clan has gained a new member, Uzumaki Karen, who was found by Hyuga Hinata during her mission with Jiraiya. In addition, former Soundnin Tsuchikin has asked for sanctuary and has become a member of Team 8, where we can expect her genjutsu skills to be improved dramatically, giving us another genjutsu mistress in the near future. Fourth, Tsunade reports that Kagetora Naruto has been brought out of his coma and will be ready to resume active duty at the end of the week. And finally, Tsunade has agreed to accept the burden of becoming the Godame Hokage. Although her coronation will not be until the end of the week, as from now, she is the new Hokage. As he finished his sentence, Hiruzen removed his official hat and passed it to Tsunade, who accepted it with a slight bow. "Thank you, Sensei. I would like to start by saying that I will do my best to uphold the reputation and well-being of Konoha, and I trust that I can count on your support in the coming years." A susurration of confirmation echoed around the chamber. "Now, is there any business that needs discussing, or shall we go straight to the reports on the rebuilding? Thank you for your hospitality, but it is time for us to depart," Gaara said. From his bed, Naruto smiled and proffered his hand, which Gaara shook with the air of one unaccustomed to doing such things. "I'm sorry for being such a bad host," Naruto began, only for Temari to cut him off. "You've been in a coma, it's not your fault. But you're awake now, so it's fine." Naruto smiled and rubbed the back of his head. "Thanks for being so understanding. Hey, good to see you're getting better." Kankuro grinned through the bandages covering half his face. "You're a real lucky dude, having such a hot babe looking after you." Both Temari and Gaara glared at him and he gulped nervously. "Come on, I meant it as a compliment." Gaara sighed as he facepalmed. "Why is it that I'm the more mature of us two, Kankuro?" "That's not fair," Kankuro protested as Temari tried hard to stop giggling. Naruto coughed and they looked back at him. "Well, you're welcome to visit any time. I'll make sure I always have beds prepared if you decide to drop in." "Thanks." Temari smiled. "Now, we have to go. Our escort, Haku, is waiting to give us a lift to the border." "I'm going to ride a tiger." Kankuro stared at his sister, obviously unnerved by her sudden fangirl squeal, then he shrugged. "I need to get back and rebuild my puppet. I managed to retrieve all the pieces, so it's just a question of putting them together right. See you round. I hope to meet you both again soon," Gaara said. "I owe you for helping me." "Thanks for everything." Temari smiled. "I'll miss this place." Chapter 35, Ceremonies. It seemed like the entire village had turned out for this ceremony. The ground in front of the Hokage Tower was solidly packed to the point that quite a few of the children had been relocated to their parents' shoulders. Every balcony with a line of sight to the tower was packed, as was every rooftop. Even the walls hadn't been forgotten, as many of them were festooned with ninja who had chosen to take to them to let the less skilled, the infirm and civilians have enough space to stand. The forms of the great tigers were visible in the crowd, many of them serving as save points for the giggling children who had been placed on the cats' backs by parents who had realized that by doing so, they effectively negated the risk that their children would trip and be trampled by the crowd. "I'm glad Tsunade decided to delay the ceremony until you could get out of bed." Hinata sighed, leaning against her fiancé's shoulder and enjoying the way his arm was draped around her shoulders. "You pretty much saved Konoha, so you deserve to be here." "Thanks," Naruto whispered, taking the opportunity to give her a quick kiss to her cheek. "Ugh, you two are so sickly sweet, it's like drowning in syrup," Zabuza mock complained from behind them. "I find it quite agreeable, father," Haku said almost instantly. "Although I admit to being biased in their favor, since it was they who gave us our new life." Zabuza snorted. "Still too sweet for my tastes." Hinata promptly lowered her head into her jacket collar to hide her blush while Naruto simply sighed. "Uncle, please be serious. This is an important day." "Not as important as tomorrow." Zabuza smirked and Hinata's blush deepened. "I talked with Anoka, by the way. She's torn down and reinstalled the privacy seals on your apartment." "Means that you won't wake us up." "Father, Stop teasing them. Haku commanded and Zabuza started to laugh. Can't help it. They sleep together, yet they're still so innocent. He chortled. It's a gift from Kami, that's all I can say. Just ignore him, Hinata-hime. Naruto said reassuringly and Zabuza started to laugh again. Hush. Haku commanded. They're starting. Sarutobi stood at the front of the roof of the Hokage Tower, the council flanking him on either side. All of them wore the formal robes and Hiruzen smiled as he adjusted the hat that he would, Kami willing, never have to wear again. Taking a deep breath, he looked sideways to where Tsunade was standing, concealed from the village's view behind several council members, then he began. People of Konohagakure, today an era ends and a new one begins. Today I announce to you all my retirement and the appointment of a new Hokage, the Godame Hokage. The granddaughter of the Shodai Hokage and my former student, she has returned to Konoha to take on the mantle of the Godame Hokage. I present to you all, Senju Tsunade. Tsunade swept across to where Hiruzen was standing, resplendent in her formal robes. As she approached, Hiruzen removed the Hokage's hat from his head and turned it round, lifting it to place it on Tsunade's head. As he placed it, the village seemed to erupt with cheers and applause, causing hundreds of birds to fly into the sky. Returning Hiruzen's bow, Tsunade turned to face the village as Hiruzen stepped back. Holding up her hand, Tsunade waited for the crowd to quieten once more before speaking. People of Konohagakure, I thank you for your overwhelming welcome. It is with a humble heart that I accept the position of Hokage, and I promise that I shall serve Konoha faithfully until the day that I die or pass the hat to another who is deemed worthy of the burden that this hat symbolizes. Unseen by most, her eyes flicked across to where Naruto and Hinata were sat. I know that we have much that still needs doing in order to recover from the treacherous attack plotted, launched and led by my former teammate and traitor Orochimaru, so I will not keep you for long. However, looking across at you all, I can see that no matter what challenges we have in the future, no matter what obstacles we face and no matter how bleak things may seem, your courage and will, the will of fire which Konoha is renowned for, will always see us through and take us to a brighter future. Together, there is nothing we of Konohagakure cannot achieve. A roar of approval swelled up from the crowd, a roar that was not just the great tigers. Tsunade smiled as her eyes filled with tears of pride and joy. I shall do my best. She whispered. I have returned, and I will not fail the task I have accepted. And our new Hokage is indeed most youthful. Lee declaimed as the rest of the Konoha 14, as they had become with Kin's recruitment, stared at him. Is he always like this? Kin asked and the rest of the table nodded. Naruto is the only one of us whose scrumph can keep up with him. Shuji said between bites. Since he and Lee are almost brothers, it's no surprise. Kin looked between the two indicated individuals, then shook her head. I don't see it. Lee-senpai. Naruto gasped. Can it be that our newest youthful friend does not understand the ways of true youth? That is truly terrible, Naruto-kun. Lee replied instantly. Surely we can do something that will help her fan her flames of youth as we have fanned ours? It is never too late to be youthful, Lee-senpai. Naruto replied solemnly. With the examples we set, surely all who witness our youthful powers will be in awe of our conflagrations of youthfulness. As always, you phrase it far better than I do, Naruto-kun. Lee proclaimed. Lee-senpai. Naruto-kun. Hinata's eyes widened in horrified realization. Lee-senpai. Naruto-kun. Look away now. Lee-senpai. Naruto-kun. Kin's eyes widened in horrified fascination as Naruto and Lee exchanged a manly hug against the background of the sun setting on the horizon of a rocky shore. As it faded, Shikamaru sighed. And that is why we tried to stop Naruto and Lee from sitting next to each other. Tenten leaned across and looked at Kin professionally. Looks like they did a light sunset genjutsu. She'll be back with us in a few minutes and will be fine within the hour. Hinata got out of her chair and walked to stand between Naruto and Lee. Naruto looked up at her, then without a word, slid into the vacated chair, allowing Hinata to take his place. Once seated, she shook her head. It's my fault, I'm afraid. I know that Lee gets edgy when he can't perform his displays of youthfulness, so I haven't tried to ban Naruto from doing things like that. Yuroirurar awa? Naruto shrugged apologetically and Kiba managed to stop sniggering as Hinata glanced at him. After a few more seconds, Kin seemed to slump in her seat. I never want to see that again. She gasped, her eyes still wide. Niji nodded. I have seen it many times myself, so it barely affects me anymore. Naruto is immune to it, something I almost envy. Hinata sighed. New rule, you too. No more youthful hugs at gatherings like this. Lee and Naruto looked at each other, then spoke in unison. Yes, Hinata-heim. Good. Sasuke looked at the clock on the wall and winced. We should get moving. We still have a pair of celebrations to attend. The 14 of them exited the restaurant, Sasuke pausing to pay the bill, and split into two groups outside, Kin looking rather nervous. Should I really be coming? I mean, less than a month ago, I was a Sannin, you're one of us now. Ino said with a grin. You joined us, so you're coming with us. Say goodbye, Hinata, you won't be seeing Naruto until the ceremony tomorrow. Indeed. Sasuke said with a grin. I made the preparations and had your formal robes delivered to my clan house, although we'll be using one of the other buildings for the actual party, just in case. Naruto turned to follow the departing boys, then paused and sprinted back to Hinata. The two of them exchanged a long kiss, then rested their foreheads against each other's. Have fun, Hinata-heim. Naruto said quietly. I love you. I love you too, Naruto-kun. Hinata whispered. Now have fun, and if you're even a single second late tomorrow. Naruto smiled and gave her another kiss, then jogged off to where the laughing boys were waiting. Kami, Hinata. Ino sighed. You are so lucky. I know. Hinata said with a smile as she let the others lead her away. He's my snuggly. Naruto inhaled and winced as his ribs protested. Sasuke pulled himself upright and looked round at the shattered beams and missing walls, then across to where a sleeping Lee was being tied up by a very bruised Guy and Kakashi. How much did he have to drink? Sasuke asked in a shell-shocked voice. 1 sip of sake. Naruto answered, looking round at the devastation as he clasped his hand against his aching side. 1 sip, then he managed to knock out Niji with a single punch and then gave the rest of us a hard fight. I'd heard you were good, Asuma said as he limped up, and thank Kami for it. Lee was almost unstoppable. You brought the 6 seconds I needed to recover and use my tiger warrior form. Naruto responded. You okay? Lee sent you straight through a support beam. Hell of a fight. Zabuza chuckled as he stood, his arm splinted and bandaged. Warn me next time, I want a rematch at some point. Several of the other still conscious genin looked at him as if he was mad. What? That's the best pure taijutsu spar I've had against anyone except Guy himself. Kids got style. 1 genin. Sasuke whispered. 1 genin managed to hold off 5 jonin and a chunin for 5 minutes. How? Training. Naruto half-whispered, slumping against the wall and not caring if it gave way or not. He trains more than I do. But that was something new. He's a natural Suiken fighter. Guy said as he limped up to them, his sleeping students slung over his shoulder. I had no idea. It is something that I need to investigate. Just not in the Uchiha sector. Sasuke said with a wry grin as he tried and failed to see through his black eye. I know I own quite a few spare buildings, but when I get round to rebuilding my clan, I don't want to have to rebuild my sector as well. Asuma laughed, then winced and clutched at his ribs. Well, after that, I'd recommend simply crashing. He said as he straightened slightly. The karaoke machine's broken, most of the food is not salvageable, and there is no way I'm letting anyone near anything alcoholic after that battle. Agreed. Sasuke said, looking round and wincing at the devastation. Anyone who's mobile, gather up the fallen and let's get them to an unbroken building. Putting words to action, Sasuke lifted Shikamaru, then paused. You lazy bastard. He half laughed. You're playing possum. Naruto grinned as he picked Chuji up from the floor. Huh, what's up? We're heading out. Naruto said. Come on. No way. You've been sleeping with him that long, and you're still a virgin? Sakura exclaimed. They decided to wait until they were married. Anko said with a leer. Not that hasn't prevented them getting to know each other. Anko! Both Hinata and Kurenai snapped at the same time, then they looked at each other and laughed. Anko grinned and looked round. You know, Anoka, your idea of pampering us in the private Uzumaki hot springs was brilliant. Hinata said, trying to change the subject. I agree. Ino said. I can feel the tension melting away, and I bet Hinata appreciates it more than any of us do. Anko opened her mouth, only for Kurenai, who had edged closer, to clap her hand across it. Anko sighed and nodded. I'm surprised that you went for such a small ceremony. Tenten said. I had expected a village-wide celebration, not a small ceremony on the Hokage Tower and then a barbecue and party in Tiger Forest. I quite like the idea. Hanabi piped up from where she was sitting between Hinata and Anoka. I got a new kimono for tomorrow. I want to look my best for my big sister's big day. But it's not my big day tomorrow. Anoka teased and everyone laughed as Hanabi pouted. You know what I mean. Sorry, Anoka laughed, but you're so cute when you do that. Hanabi giggled and nestled against Anoka's shoulder as Anoka wrapped her arm around her. A few seconds later, the combination of the late evening and the heat of the spring-fed pool meant that she was asleep. Several of the others in the pool awed at the sight. Karen smiled as she wiped her glasses lenses again. You really need to find yourself a chap, Anokanizan. The way you look after Hanabi-chan, definite maternal material. Hinata fought down a yawn, but Kurenai noticed. It's getting late, ladies and girls. I think it's time to head in and get some sleep for tomorrow. Hinata nodded and helped Anoka to lift Hanabi out of the pool. Stopping just long enough to wrap a large towel around her, they led the gaggle of kunoichi inside, to where the futons had been set up. Tsunade stood on the roof of the Hokage Tower, smiling at a very nervous Naruto and his best man, Lee, who was looking incredibly different in his formal kimono, rather than the green spandex outfit he often wore. Naruto also wore a formal kimono, but like most of his other clothes, his was made primarily from chainmail with a leather underlay. However, the links had been carefully made from metal imbued with special ground crystals which caught or absorbed the light, giving Naruto the appearance of wearing a metallic, glowing tiger skin kimono. Calm down. Hiruzen muttered from nearby as Naruto shifted position yet again. She'll be here. Do you really think that she'll miss this? Naruto smiled at Hiruzen, then his gaze moved across the audience. Most of them were from the Hyuga clan, chosen from those who did not openly disapprove of Hinata, while the rest of the audience were the rest of the Rookie 14, their senseis and a few others. Tucci saw him looking and waved while Ayam winked at him while Konohamaru, clad in a formal Sarutobi kimono, gave him a wide smile and slight bow. Anoka and Karen both gave him reassuring smiles while Haku was almost grinning widely enough to risk self-decapitation. From the crinkling of his mask, Zabuza was as well. Straighten up! Naruto turned and straightened in response to Hiruzen's warning, just in time to see Hinata appear, flanked by Kurenai and followed by Hanabi. Naruto gaped at her, the rest of the world seeming to fade away as she seemed to float towards him, a vision of absolute perfection that he knew he didn't deserve, yet by some gift of Kami was receiving anyway. He knew he was staring like the dope that Sasuke called him, but he couldn't help but be overwhelmed as she approached, radiant and perfect. He's waiting. Kurenai said and Hinata took a deep breath. You'll be fine, Nei-san. Hanabi whispered and Hinata nodded jerkily, then she stepped up round the curve of the staircase and almost froze as she saw her husband-to-be. His eyes lit up as she appeared, perfect pools of sapphire that she could lose herself in for hours at a time, then his mouth, the so kissable mouth, formed a small but welcoming smile. Hinata felt sure that she was clumping towards him, her legs seemed determined to disobey her and her hands felt as if she was about to drop the bouquet of flowers she was holding. Somehow, she managed to make it to his side without falling over, and she felt the world around her disappear as she took her position in front of Tsunade. Tsunade smiled gently as she looked at the two in front of her. This was one of the best things that a cage could do, joining two people who were deeply in love together in matrimony. Looking up at the audience, she let her gaze drift across them before returning her gaze to Hinata and Naruto. Taking a deep breath, she began the ritual that predated Konohagakure by hundreds of years, if not more. We are here today, in Kami's sight, to celebrate the joining of Kagetora Naruto and Hyuga Hinata in matrimony. We are here to celebrate the bonds of love that unite these two, the bonds that they feel for each other and share with each other. The end.